the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Pop that here, man. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Break that up, pop that here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up, man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. Out of that job, I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. That's break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Break that. That's assault. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. Out of that show, I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Drop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up.
Pausing it to ask a justified question. Also, hello. Also, I have really bad allergies, so I'm sorry that my eyes are barely existing on my face. Listen, I can't even tell anymore. You guys know me. I bitch about AI. I'm kind of into sussing out whether something's AI or not. But when I tell you the amount of videos that have been created by AI that are flood videos for various places versus regular videos of real events happening in the world, and how it has confused me to no end, because it really is scarily it's gotten to the point where our weather looks AI, because that's how bad weather is now. Is it really bad in Jersey and New York? Where's my little book? Where is Leviathan? Is it really that bad? Because I saw some videos that looked shockingly like Kirk County here in Texas, which, by the way, I wanted to let you guys know, when we got I say we, like I have an operation here. Half of the super chats from last month are going to Kerr County, and the other half I think I'm gonna send it to the animal shelter. I just want to make sure you guys are okay with that. I figured you'd be fine with it. I know that some people hate that. I don't know why, but I've seen people complain about it, especially when Gray Hughes does it. But I'm like, God damn it. Like, I just felt bad seeing all that shit going down. And if you're in Jersey, I think Georgia and Arizona got fucked with flood. I think New York, right? If it's really bad up there, someone tell me, send me any organizations that you have that are going through it pretty bad. And I know that, and look, I'm just going to say it. If it's animal related, like a shelter in the floods, also please send me that. I know people are obviously important, little kids, very important. Animals are too. So I just want to be able to kind of split it evenly for next month. So just like, if you have an organization and it's been flooding really bad where you are, please feel free to email me. I've got Oblivious Benson question at gmail.com and questions, plural, just in case. Just email me a link to wherever to send it, because I don't know, this shit with the dogs and the cats is making me so sad. The kids making me so sad. And I know that it's not just Texas getting hit. So I want to be fair to everyone. And tell me if you've seen this crazy fucking weather in Jersey and New York. Is that fucking real? Because it was as high as the Kerrville floods. It looked pretty bad. And I was so worried about you guys, and I apologize. I wanted to come on yesterday. We were having severe internet problems. And by severe, I mean somebody hit the pole again and the node fell down, or whatever that box is. So I do apologize for not seeing you guys yesterday. But yeah, I was having to mooch off a hotspot. Yeah, and sanctuary cities. Just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, if you know of a shelter, if you're in an area where that shit happened, or even if you're not, if you just know of a great organization at a place where like the flood hit really hard, not just the Kerr flood, PA. I saw a video from there. It looked pretty scary. The one I saw from Jersey, it had the turnpike and it looked like the water was up to the windows. But it was on Twitter and there was no news link. I need to research it a little more. I just hope you guys are okay. Everybody stay safe during these floods. Don't do what I did and non-consensually float in the water. Please don't do that. Like, again, I didn't choose to. It just happened. My car got picked up, but it got put back down. I was very lucky. But that 1 minute was butthole puckering fear. So I can't imagine flying down a river or down a turnpike. Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and McLean, Virginia. Oh, the Tyson factory? Oh, no, the chickens were floating? Shit. Your family didn't call you, Melissa? You're in Colorado. Did you guys get it too? Yeah, I was a non-consensual boater and a floater. I was like a turd in a toilet that day. Like, just flush me. I'm done. Like, it was so scary. I cannot imagine. Yeah, not the chimkins. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being floated that far somewhere in that fast, in that weather, and then being a child or an animal and you're in a fucking tree. No, that's terrifying. So yeah, I apologize to those who are mad about it. Stay fucking mad. I'm sorry, but we gotta donate to something like that because it's so bad. Oh yeah, right after this is done, right here, the intro song, I'm gonna show you John Morgan from Morgan and Morgan hanging out with one of the kids in the chat. So stay tuned. It's happening. It's gonna be insane. All right. Also, we're gonna open up with some furry crimes because something happened with the furries and I'm stressed. Okay, here we go. Back to this.
That's a song. Flop that chair, flop that chair, flop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's a song. Oh, I will That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Flop that chair, that's a song. That's a song. Flop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's a song. That's a song. It is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will tell you exactly what happened. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's a song. We have video of her just touching. How did that tell? I will be. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's a song. Excuse me. That chair. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. That's a song. That's a song. Flop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be song. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's a song. Flop that chair here. You cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's a song. That's a song. Flop that chair. Flop that chair. These people are. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's a song. Oh, I will That's a song. Oh, I will. That's a song. Oh, I will. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Flop that chair here. That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. Oh, I will be telling you. That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will. That's a song.
self-defense means meeting violence with violence. First a warrior, or all else is folly.
I'll just bring Paul over here. We had the Adam's apple. The hand makes a circle and chops into that brainstem. That's a knockout point. Thank you, Paul. I come right in and attack the Adam's apple. Thank you, Paul. So you poke from here right into the eye. Thank you, Paul. I hit him, comes flying back. If I miss, into there. Thank you, Paul. As you can see, there's a lot of force. Thank you, Paul. And we're squeezing hard behind the windpipe. Thank you, Paul. I follow through with the strike. Thank you, Paul. Wham, like that. Thank you, Paul. Kick, like that. Thank you, Paul. Coming right down on the skull. Thank you very much, Paul. 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 Out of that circle.
By following McSweeney's self-defense, you're going to be able to maintain a strong, healthy body and to protect it throughout your entire lifespan, or until you become disabled or fragile and weak.
Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market. Montgomery, it's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, come shop with us. I said flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, hey, you heard me. Come shop. Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. We got it. You need it. You'll find it. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, hey, you heard me. Come shop. I said flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, hey, living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, hey, don't stop. Let's make it a dance. Come on now, to the left, to the right. Let's do this dance. Hey, to the left, to the right. Let's make this a dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It keeps you jumping. It's just like a mini mall. Check it out now, everybody. Like this now. Hey, hey, flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Don't stop. Let's dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall.
Let's bring it on down now. Oh yeah, I know you're gonna like this. Come on now.
It's just like,
You know what I'm saying?
it's just like,
You know what I mean?
it's just like,
You know it. So why don't you just come on and say it?
it's just like a mini mall.
Oh yeah, you said it. It's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, you like this? Come on now, flea market.
I love it. Okay. We're going to get back to all that. But first, I have to show you something. I have to show you this. One of you guys sent this to me. Oh my God. First of all, she's so adorable. Our viewers are so adorable. Every time you guys send me a picture of you, I'm like, oh my God, look at this little fucking cutie. But also, who's that big beast with her? Who's that big beast? I don't know. You tell me. That's right. John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Did Megan bully you? Call Morgan & Morgan today. Have you been kicked the shit out of on a golf course recently? Call Morgan & Morgan. Were you paddleboarding in May? Oh, no, that's a real case. We're not going to joke about that. But did you fall off your paddleboard? Call Morgan & Morgan. Yeah, you guys, we are around greatness. Okay. Cause one of our kids got to meet John Morgan downtown in Florida, right? In Miami. Stay down. And there he is. Isn't that amazing? The Hammer. Is that what he's called? Hello, Strawberry. Strawberries look delicious. I love you and your channel. Were you banged on a golf course? Call Morgan & Morgan. Did you get attacked by furries in Maine while paddleboarding to a golf course? Call Morgan & Morgan. Have you been non-consensually floated by storms? Call Morgan & Morgan. They'll get drunk downtown and then help you. Yeah, Jim Adler is the Texas Hammer. Okay, and then we got Wayne Wright. You deserve respect and justice, and we demand it. Here in Austin, we have the attorney that rocks, David Comey. He has dreads, and he dresses like Rob Zombie. It's terrifying. So yeah, this is, look, Morgan and Morgan. That's pretty cool. I like that. Somebody told me I might not be wait, what did they tell you? Somebody told me I might not be the greatest social media content creator ever. My feelings are hurt. Should I call Morgan and Morgan? You should. Because if you don't, I mean, you're going to get depressed, and then the depression will get bad, and then you'll lose super chats. And then what will you do? You got to call Morgan and Morgan. And if that doesn't work, call Morgan and Morgan, okay? Or Megan and Megan. Or maybe you could call Joe and Schmo. We'll figure it out. But either way, get that settlement you don't deserve. Get it while he's drunk, everyone. I absolutely love this. Dude, I started the Angola prison one. I fell asleep, but it was thrilling. I know that sounds crazy. I was just exhausted. I need to start it over because I will tell you it scared me. And I actually know someone, a comic who is in Angola, and holy shit, he's not alive anymore. But I feel like some of the things that he said in this set he did called Bio, his name's Ron Shock. Just wow, he was spot on. So I'm very intrigued, and I would love to finish it, and I plan on it. And thank you for any good documentary recommendations you guys have. I am fucking here for it. Okay, so congratulations to those of you who have met Morgan and Morgan in real life. I'm very jealous. Here we go. We are going to continue. We do have a story that I'm opening with. It has nothing to do with Delphi, but you guys know, especially since the Whoa Vicky Free Vicky episode, we, as much as they creep me the fuck out, we're pro furry. Okay. A lot of you kids have creepy, weird fetishes. You like feet? I'm against that. I think we should cut them off. Maybe that's my fetish. Cut off the feet. Look like Marcus. I don't know. Also, one of y'all sent me, like, can you explain Marcus the Worm to me? And I got to say, I was pretty impressed with myself with how I summarized it. But I'm loving the amount of you who are really into Marcus the Worm VR. It's like, that is, listen, if I leave no other legacy on the internet, it's Golf Guy getting the shit kicked out of him, and it's Marcus the Worm. As long as you saw that, I can die a happy woman. Okay, so you guys know I don't like witch shit, and I don't like fucking moons and astrology and all that bullshit and symbols, and I think it's all fucking lame, but you guys like it, so I love it. And I try. Look, I'll put up with it, but we got to support it. Even though I can't fucking stand it, I think it's so stupid. We have to support it because your interests, I want to push you to be happy and explore your interests and to be well-rounded individuals and to not have low self-esteem, even though everything that you believe in is fucking stupid when it comes to the moon. I see you, Sherlock, but I respect it and I love you and I'm not against it, but I wish you'd stop. But also, we're pro-witch, I guess, and we're pro-furry, I guess, even though it's fucking weird that they dress like animals. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Furry crimes are afoot. And I told you guys, if there's ever shrimp crimes, okay, furry crimes, VR crimes, specific crimes we're very honed in on. This is one of them. This is a fucked up story, though. And I just think more people should see it simply because it's a lot. It's intense. I have not seen anyone report on it besides, oddly, Crime Fix with Anjanette Levy. But just this reminds me of when Keith Morrison did that episode of Dateline where, yeah, these are furries. No, we're pro shrimp. What are you talking about? We're pro witch, I guess, and pro shrimp. I just don't like the idea of flying on a broom. I feel like it's sexist. Like, I know that we can get on a Roomba if we wanted to, but I don't know. I just don't like it that we have to fly on cleaning instruments. Can we get something better to fly on? If we're going to be witchy bitches, does it have to be a cleaning product? It feels wrong. Anyway, I told you guys as much as I can't stand it, we're pro furry, pro witch, and I love you all, and I support your interests, even if it's the moon, even though I fucking hate the moon. It's not real. Okay, so And we're pro shrimp. We're pro the crustacean nation. Do you understand? Like, we're very into that. We like flamethrowers. We're into that too. So we should fly first class, actually. So the furry crimes, they're big here. We haven't touched on them in a while. There hasn't really been one in a minute. The furries are kind of a docile community. They get a bad rap, like juggalos, who really, I mean, they're just white trash people who love music and drugs. And like, that's most people in a lot of places. So I just don't get the problem. I just don't understand why it's weird for them, but it's not weird for like everybody who ever went to a concert ever. So, you know, we're trying to be stable, and we're trying to have an open mind here. Okay. Fuck, I love shrimp and cocktail sauce. You're absolutely welcome here, Joe, but you got to bring some, your treat. The weird eyes do freak me out. Now, as my high school mascot, I feel like I have to support the furry community because I was an OG furry. But it was for football purposes, and I don't even like football. So I guess I was technically a furry ahead of my time. All of us were if you were a mascot. Anyway, this is so weird. I get so uncomfortable, and I want you to be uncomfortable too. So here, watch this.
A man obsessed, a self-proclaimed furry, found guilty of plotting the murders of 3 people so he could be with a teenage girl. I dive into the details of this sad and bizarre murder plot out of California and why the case isn't over just yet. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. This case goes back to 2016. It's bizarre, but more than that, it's incredibly sad. 33-year-old Frank Felix has been convicted of helping plan and carry out the murders of 3 people, including a mother and stepfather in Fullerton, California. It all began when Felix met Jennifer Goodwill Yost's 17-year-old teenage daughter at a furry convention. First of all, you might know what a furry is, and then maybe some of you don't, so let's talk about that. Furries are people.
Just take a breath. Here's the real reason I showed this to you. It's because I've heard so many people try to explain furries. Mika and Joe tried to explain it once. Okay. I've seen Vinny Politan try to explain furries. Nancy Grace tried to explain furries. That's always a good time. I'm very curious what Anjanette Levy's going to say about it, aren't you? First thing you need to know, they are people. Thank you, Anjanette, for telling us that. Because when I saw them, I went, oh my God, is that a real fox or whatever? Jesus.
Who like to dress up as animals or creatures.
Mm-hmm.
The furry fandom is a global phenomenon. Hundreds of thousands of people identify as furries, and they've created their own subculture worldwide. The furry community is made up of artists, gamers, and role players, and this online community is local and international, with dozens of conventions held annually. Now, Felix was a part of this furry community. And
Peggy is an OG. Peggy is an OG. Yes, they do have furry conventions, Miss Jessica. They have convention. They are, in fact, it is fucking funny hearing her explain. It's a sad case, but hearing her explain it, very funny. My friend's brother's a furry, and the thing I'm most interested in is the endless silly drama that goes down in the furry groups and conventions, subculture with Bravo level drama. Absolutely. It's like the real furries of Orange County. It could be a thing. I know you're all edging right now, but listen, would you let your 17-year-old go to a furry convention? I know they want to. I know that there are high school kids that are into it. Again, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I was high school mascot. I feel like mascottery is different from furry. I don't want to be looped in with them. But at the same time, we did hear John Ray say furry butt plug once. And that lady that he had, that's not very smart. So there's that. I feel like 18, you can cavort with furries. Prior to 18, I don't know. It would be weird. They just say someone stole their, oh my God, is that true? Yeah, I feel like it should be too, but I did find out it is, but I also found out from a furry that it's not all that. Now, one thing I did find out from a real furry is that when teens do it, it's an anime thing. It's a dissociation thing. And when they get into adulthood, they can either keep that up or they can go with the sex thing. So there's 2 types of furries. There is furry fandom that's like anime convention, artist, innocent furries. And then there's rabbits that hump in the woods. So just know that.
Obsessed, according to the Orange County DA, and he became infatuated with Jennifer Yost's teenage daughter. And I have to be clear about this. Jennifer Yost was also a furry, as was her husband and her teenage daughter. Felix and the teen became romantically involved, which concerned Jennifer and her husband, Christopher. So when the Yosts expressed their disapproval over the 8-year age gap, that's when Felix voiced his feelings on Facebook.
And for those who forgot, when we did the Stephen Stearns breakdown of all of his history, you might recall Jen Soto and him very into the furry culture. Very into the furry culture.
Using another first name. I was the only person to really satisfy you in all ways possible. Sad thing I know is you are trying to kill all those feelings and try and never come back to you, but you will. It's in your nature. I just hope you're going to regret everything you've done to me and everything you could have done and live with that guilt you've out on yourself every day. And 4 days before the murder, he messaged a friend discussing his plan. I might be assisting someone in murder. Wow. Later in the conversation, he adds, it's just killing an animal. On September 24th, 2016, the Orange County DA says Frank Felix provided a shotgun and ammunition to kill Jennifer Yost and her husband, Christopher Yost, the 17-year-old girl's stepfather. Joshua Acosta is an Army veteran who's now serving life in prison. He's already been convicted for shooting and killing the Yost.
Army veteran turned furry. Didn't see that one coming. Yeah, Jen Soto was really into furries. Just in case you guys didn't know, Jen Soto and Stephen Stearns, they had furry accounts. They were in furry fandom groups. They took pictures and she posted them on Instagram. And that is true because I had those rabbits fuck outside my door, and then they made baby bunnies, and those bunnies ran off, and now all 3 of them are alive, and my dog likes to chase them. Yeah, there's a lot of furries, or I guess traces of furry fandom in Jen Soto's accounts and Stefan's. However, take a look at, I don't know, Violent J, right? Him and Shaggy 2 Dope, they support the furry community. He had a furry podcast so that he could connect with his teenage kid because she was into it. And it was not sexual at all. So there's crossover between that culture, the Juggalo culture. People like to dress like clowns. They're not actually into clown shit. They're into rap. But some people are into Juggalo culture to a point it takes them into a horrorcore realm. And we've seen plenty of murder in that community. So there can be the dark side and the light side. It's a yin and a yang on everything. This one's a weird one, though. It really is.
And their house guest, Billy Butcher. Acosta shot Jennifer in the face as she slept, and then shot Christopher as he tried to escape through the patio door. The 17-year-old girl, according to the DA, had already left the house and was in a vehicle with Felix before the shooting started. Sadly, the Yost's 6-year-old and 9-year-old children found them dead when they woke up. Can you imagine? The teen is now in her 20s and was given a form of immunity to testify against Felix and Acosta at their trials. Felix will be sentenced in January. The Orange County DA, Todd Spitzer, issued the following statement. 2 little girls, 6 and 9, went to sleep not knowing the last time they would see their parents would be when they woke up to find them shot to death. The trauma inflicted on those little girls, compounded by the loss of both of their parents in such a violent way, is beyond heartbreaking. Violence is never the answer, and a sick and twisted plan turned into life behind bars for 2 young men. I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back on things like gas, groceries, and restaurants.
Jesus Christ, Anjanette. See what I mean? This is what I'm talking about with the segues. Go back. Do you see the most tragic part of the story right into a segue for an ad? There we go. We saw it real time. Let's do that again.
Heartbreaking. Violence is never the answer, and a sick and twisted plan turned into life behind bars for 2 young men. I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back on things.
Like, not even a proper segue. Not even, you know what else is horrifying? When you don't have Upside. She just went right into it like that. Wow, Anjanette. Wow. Okay. And look how long that, Jesus. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and skip the rest of it because that's all you really need to know. But yeah, the segues are real. The segues are real and they're a problem. Mary Malarkey. Oh my God, it's No Fucks Malux. Hello, lovely human. She says, hello, Mary Malarkey. Yeah, the integrated ads are really killing it for me. They're killing the channel. It's such a problem. It's like, oh, and you know what else is horrifying aside from waking up to see your parents murdered? Not having aura. Did you know that 8 million furries will hack your computer? Like, Jesus. Can we not like do that maybe? Can we just get rid of that? I feel like that's gonna yeah, it's too yeah, she's gotten out of control. Just as out of control as the eyebrows. And I am not one to talk. I have horrible eyebrows, but really, like, how surprised can you be, Annie? Okay, anyway. This is just a lot. So, yeah, that's what happened in the furry community this week. Now we're going to get into the gabagool. All right. So I found something interesting. We're not gonna go too hard on Erica today, because I'm just gonna show you this. Okay, I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna let it speak for itself. We're gonna wait until Erica's landlord, or he's not a land. Let me explain this. Okay. Let's start out with this. So we talked about Erica last week, right? And some people are like, well, actually, no one was really like, go easy on her. I felt that way about myself. But some people were asking questions about like, oh, are you going to go harder on her? Are you going to show more shit? I can't wait. And I'm like, well, yeah, but, you know, we got to pace it because it's kind of interwoven into some of the things we're going to talk about. And there's a reason for it. But one thing that I think is extremely important, and one of the reasons why I even went in on her, is because of the amount of people who have been screwed over by this woman and the amount of cases she's screwed over that are very high profile. Remember, I told you guys how there were plans to go to Idaho and behave in the manner that she behaved, along with some of her friends, such as, oh, I don't know, taking pictures of jury members' license plates during jury selection, following them home, harassing them. Same with witnesses. This is a problem. It's a real problem. And in order to prevent that, I'd like to put the word out of the things she's done. Now, I know that there's been a little pushback. A couple of her friends have tried to come at me. And there's one thing that I find funny. Quite a few of them say the same thing. They're like, you know, she never did anything that could be considered meddling improperly. She was a PI. She was hired by Jensen. The same Jensen who, again, did an interview with the National Enquirer. I was actually looking through his record. I don't think he's ever solved a case. He gets a lot of high-profile shit, but I don't know that he ever has. I have yet to find one. I'd like to put this out there. If anybody can find a case that PI Jason Jensen solved, send it to me. Because even some of the worst PIs have at least solved something. I've yet to see one from him. Granted, he does have a great search dog, Lily. She's adorable. But I have yet to see a case he solved. I noticed that right now he really wants to solve Kurt Cobain. He's making up a bunch of bullshit in that. He claims to have solved the Zodiac cipher. He didn't. There's just quite a bit. And he's the guy who I believe he let Erica work for free for him for 2 months and then ditched her. So here's something. Someone's like, aside from this is just me responding to two people. I got 2 emails from people saying she really didn't know anyone on the case. She doesn't communicate with anyone on the case. She's not heavy into the case. She was not working there from the beginning, even though she's been on TV multiple times claiming that she helped draft the Odinism report. I believe, or the Frank's memo. I believe her exact words were, it started out, what'd she say, 30 to 36 pages of, we turned a 30 to 36 page document into 100 and something page. Like, she straight up claims that she helped create that shit. And I think that's absurd. I don't think she did. But then I read it and I was like, well, maybe, because it's absurd. But I started looking into some of her dealings with specific people that maybe are in or around the zeitgeist of the case. I found this one interesting. Let's just see if you guys recognize who this is. Let me make myself small. Anybody recognize who she's talking with, who follows her, who she communicates with quite a bit, it seems, on Facebook? Anybody notice? Oh, she lied about everything. Absolutely everything. But take a look real quick. Who is that? Who is that she's communicating with? and this is an old screenshot. Shout outs to the real Erica Morris Facebook group. You don't know a Connie? Oh, that's interesting. I'll tell you who Connie is. Connie is Ron Logan's ex, who went on TV and accused him. That's right. So Connie Dillman all of a sudden pops up on TV right after Erica Morris's first court TV appearance. If I remember correctly, it could have been Law and Crime. Talking about how Ron Logan did it. Interesting timing. Anyway, I just found that interesting. I found it interesting. Good old Connie. Now, I have no doubt that woman's probably been through hell in her life. She seemed terrified. She seemed like she was crying. Maybe something awful did happen to her. But the second I see someone attached to Erica Morris, we've also seen her fake cry. So I don't know. Is it fake? Is it real? I don't want to be rude, but kind of odd timing. I have found quite a bit where she said that she tipped him in early on, right? And he had a search warrant. Found it odd how that wasn't really brought up very much in the Franks memo, was it? You'd think they would have taken that opportunity. And it's very interesting how a Franks motion, it's all about like, hey, this search warrant shouldn't have happened. There was not enough probable cause for it, right? But in that Franks memo, they don't really give you any of that, do they? They actually never get to the point. It seemed very performative, like a PR move. Because they literally never gave you that information regarding the probable cause for the search warrant. But then what did they do? They amended it. They had to go back and say, oh, yeah, we fucked up and forgot to put the whole point in. By the way, here's why you shouldn't answer. To me, that feels like when you get silenced because of a gag order, because you fucked up, because of leaked crime scene photos. So you go ahead and you make this performative document based on other investigators from the FBI who came together to make up some shit because they were desperate and they didn't have Richard yet. They didn't know who did it. They were grasping at straws. And they were like, well, maybe we should look into this Odinism thing. And they did, and they found nothing. But they gave their opinions before there was anybody who came forward and said, I did it. And, confessed a lot. And I almost forgot, Richard also confessed to the chaplain. That was something I forgot. I was looking over my notes, talking to Turbo a little bit today. Forgot to throw that in there. So we have Kathy, we have his mom, we have the warden, we have the chaplain, and then we have Dr. Walla. Very interesting. How many people he confessed to. So add another one on there. Now, people were asking questions about the warden. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and pull up that letter. What did the letter say? What did the letter say? Well, here, let me show you. Let me show you what the fucking letter said. So this is what Richard drafted to the warden Gallipo. I've seen people talk a lot of shit about Gallipo. I have some thoughts on that too. Let's see if we can make it a little bigger here for you. Great handwriting there. All right. To warden. Now this is March 5th, 2023, right? I'm ready to officially confess for killing Abby and Libby. Richard Allen, I hope I get the opportunity to tell the family I'm sorry. So he sent this to the warden. He sent this to the warden. So this is March of 2023. Okay. It's very interesting, isn't it? The date kind of lines up a little interesting, doesn't it? Because as of that date, he hadn't even been tortured yet, if I remember correctly. He hadn't even been tortured yet. Now let's take a look at this. This is the big stuff. This is what I really wanted to show you today. Let's go ahead and just get right the fuck into it, all right? No, actually, let's not. We'll get into it in a second because I have some more to say about that. I want to go back a little bit. I want to tell you something about Erica because I feel like I'm not done with that. I almost forgot. So I'm talking to Mike. The situation is a little bit worse than I thought it was. It wasn't just her landlord, by the way, who had issues with her, actually. This was a guy who felt bad for her and who was her friend for a long time. And he had this land, right? It was a corner lot. And he had a house on it. And unfortunately, she couldn't afford anything because Erica, even though she says she makes a lot of money in the neighborhood forums, when she's talking her shit, she doesn't. She doesn't make a lot of money at all. In fact, she doesn't get paid because she's not a real PI. So I found that very interesting. And so what Mike tells me that he felt terrible for her. He was like, you know, she was basically homeless. She had nowhere to go. So he threw her a favor. He said, look, I have this house. Okay. It's on a corner lot. Not only can you rent it from me, but you can rent to own. And it was essentially like a land lease. So just hear me out when I tell you, because you're not going to believe this next part. This is actually one of the crazy, out of all the things we've seen in Delphi, this is the craziest. You know, that's a joke, but this is definitely in the top 5 for me. Ask yourself, you know what? I feel like I don't want to be rude, but I'll just put it out there. I pay over $1,000 a month in rent. It's very expensive to live here. But I've looked elsewhere in other cities in Texas, and rent is skyrocketing everywhere. If you're comfortable with it, I want you to put in the chat how much you pay for your rent. And if you don't want to put how much you pay, what is the average rent, let's say, for a 1-bedroom house where you live? Just put it in the chat real quick. I'm very interested. What is the average rent for where you live right now? And I have a very great point, I think. But I want to hear that first. We got, Erica says $650. Ooh, that's pretty good. $1,600, Daniel says. $2,300 plus utility. Oh, you're in Canada. Yeah, that's for a 1-bedroom. $2,230 in Atlanta. Or Georgia, let's say that. $2,500 average for a 2-bedroom in Colorado. $1,250 a month, says HIPAA. Oh my God. These are, I got fucking goosebumps from this. This is kind of crazy. $2,800. That's in Seattle, right? Jesus. $800 a week in Australia. And $800 in Australia, that would be what, like over $1,000 in the US? Yep. $2,400, says Louise. $2,500, $2,250 for a 1-bedroom and $3,000 for a 3-bedroom. Stevie. Vancouver, $2,200, $2,800 average. I have a family, so mine is more. Mortgage, $1,300. Okay, mortgage and mortgage. Call them if Megan's bullying you. 1-bedroom apartment, $850. 1-bedroom house cottage, $1,600. Me too. Atlanta, $1,010 a month, but it's cheap for where I live. $1,800 total, but I own it. $2,500, Miss Jessica. $2,500, Clam. And I agree, Houston's skyrocketing. When we built their database for the old real estate place, I used to manage a database for a real estate company. Fucking Houston was going up, dude. $2,200 a month for a 1-bed, 1-bath in Sydney. Hold on. So that's like 3 G's in America. $3,400 a month, total eclipse. $595. Well, Reggie, where you are, that's also about a K for American, right? For a 1-bedroom. You have no idea, says Life's a Bit. Efficiency 1 room is $580, and that's minus the bills, right? 1-bedroom, $1,650. Okay, so this is all very high, but it's normal, right? $2,500 to $4,000, depending on the neighborhood in Chicago. $2,000 to $2,500 in Massachusetts. $1,300 in West Lafayette, Indiana. Okay, that's a great one. Who's your name, Nini? Thank you for coming in here and putting that $1,300 in Indiana. This is important. This is probably the most important answer we've gotten. And I'm going to tell you why. $1,200 in Houston. Yep, that's pretty average. $682. And that's for a mortgage. So that's why that's so low. Okay. So you guys are getting it, right? And that's for no utilities, $1,300. So with utilities, you're going to pay $1,500 to $1,800, right? $2,000 for a woodshop barn full of mold with 92-year-old man downstairs. Well, chuck the old man. You'll at least get $100 off, right? Okay. So you guys are seeing how expensive this is, right? It's too much. Fucking New York, $4,000. That is true. And it's $2,000 for a 100 square foot in like old tenement housing down there because I've looked into it. It's insane, or I should say up there. So now that we know the average cost, I don't think he'd mind me doing this. I'm going to read to you what Mike told me because this is very important. Laura, Andrew pays for it, right? Okay. Yeah, 4K is normal in New York. 4K is absolutely normal. Okay, so now that you've gotten the breadth of how much rent fucking is, I want you guys, if you have a towel or something to bite down on, I want you to grab it because you're going to get, if you're like me and real estate drives you insane, then you're going to want to grab a towel to bite for when I read to you a portion of this email. And I'm just going to read a portion of it because when he comes on, he's going to tell you more. I want you to bite down on something right now. Okay, so Mike, this is the guy who Erica fucked over. Now she's stalking him. She's maligning him. She's talking mad shit about him all the time. Okay. Let me go ahead and read to you what he sent me. Give me 1 second. Okay. So here we go. I am the guy who foreclosed on her land contract. So it's not really a landlord situation. He's foreclosing on the land contract. I am also the guy who, after taking possession of the house, after the sheriff's department executed the court order to vacate the house, he's the one who found the kittens she abandoned, and 2 days later found the dead cat on the bathroom floor. If you ever want to hear deep cuts about Erica, I'm more than happy to connect with you. He's very nice, okay? Now, here is the part, get out of here, Fly, that pissed me off. All right, here it is. So, for a corner lot, let me pull up the exact one because we have quite a few emails back and forth here, and I want to make sure that I get this right. All right. So, for the corner lot, here it is. Okay. Let's actually start right here. All right. Back in March of 2024, Erica took me to court to answer the restraining order that she filed against me. This was clearly an attempt to cut off any communication regarding the house she wasn't paying me to live in. Remember, 14 months. She did not pay him rent. 14 months. Did not pay him rent. All right. So let me get to, here it is. All right. So he foreclosed on her contract. All right, here we go. She still mentions me on a semi-regular basis in her grand conspiracy theories about corrupt cops and a wildly conspired plot to destroy little old Erica because of her involvement in Richard Allen's bullshit. For the record, fuck that child-killing piece of shit. Love him. I don't know how far down the rabbit holes of hers you've been, but if you were a psychology student in college, there would be a whole ass thesis and case study in paranoid delusion. Agree. For the record, I was never technically a landlord. She was actually land contracting my house to own it. So she was renting to own through a land contract. This is a big fucking deal. When I heard that, I almost shit dicks out of my ass. Because what? That's bad. That means that you can only foreclose on it. There is a mortgage situation going on there. Mortgage and mortgage. This is like she's essentially renting to own. Do you understand? That is a huge favor to do for someone. And this here is the kick in the nuts about the whole thing. I agreed to sell her that house for exactly what I paid for it and not a penny more. Now, he purchased that house a long time ago. Do you see the market right now? That's kind of a big deal. And not a penny more. So he's not going by market value. He was giving it to her for what he originally paid for it. Do you understand? And not a penny more. It was a corner lot, a 1,700 square foot house for only a $25,000 asking price. I did that because at one time she was actually a dear friend who really needed a place to live, and I was in a position to make her an actual land owner. Her monthly payments, this is the part where you grab the towel because you're going to want to bite it, $350 a month. $350 a month over a 5-year period. $350 a month for a $1,700 house on a corner lot with the land included at the original purchase price in this fucking economy. I want to show you the house. It is the cutest thing you've ever seen. We'll get there. We'll get there. I really want him to come on when we do that. Okay? $350 a month were her monthly payments for a corner lot in a beautiful home. And not only did she refuse to pay rent for 14 months, she abandoned it, she trashed the fuck out of it, and she killed animals in it. She neglected them. Her monthly payments a month were only $350 over a 5-year period, and she quit paying me in September of 2023. In land contract situations, you can't evict over breach of contract. You have to foreclose. So that is what I did. I should have maybe saw all of this coming, though. She became homeless and came to live in my old place after her own brother kicked her out of his place because she was nothing but a leech. This is a part that makes me even more pissed. Just know this. Her animal abuse cases are headed to a bench trial. The outcome is levied by a judge instead of a jury in 10 days. It's 9 days now. I took care of those cats for 3 days after she was forced out by a sheriff's deputy. I had to call animal control. I put food and water down. I checked on them every day. The day the sheriff showed up, her husband told the cop he'd take care of them and make necessary calls to arrange for their safekeeping, and he never did. The thing is, when the sheriff's office showed up, her husband, Dave, acted like he was completely surprised and didn't have a clue they were being foreclosed on. So this bitch killed cats, neglected them, lied to everyone. Her husband lied. They played stupid after fucking him out of his property. Do you know how much money he could have made? I looked at the market value for the area. No one asked me to. I chose to do that. I was nosy. I was mad. Okay, I was mad. Market value is exactly like what she said earlier. $1,700 and up. $1,700 and up. $350 a month. You know how much he could have charged for that house to live in? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. She has a husband. This is scary. Ruin the guy's house, hurt animals, $350 a month, rent to own in a massive house. Could have charged, right? Exactly. Who's your Nene knows exactly what the fuck she's talking about. Listen to her. $2,000 minimum, right? A month. He could have charged. Instead, he has to pay for lawyers. He has to take a loss. He unfortunately had to see that horrific shit, and he has to put up with her stalking him, maligning his name, and daily threats. 1,750 square foot, about 2,500 up, right? I cannot tell you. Yeah, electric chair immediately. Immediately. I don't know exactly. I think it's fixed up now. I saw some pictures that it looks beautiful. So as he was messaging me this morning or yesterday morning, she posted this. I'm going to show you what she posted in a Facebook group talking shit about him. The guy whose house she destroyed, whose land she took, who had to take care of these flea infested poor little baby kittens. Imagine how much that hurts your soul. And then, you got to get the sheriff to come get him. And then can you even trust the husband? He's sitting there lying about not knowing about the foreclosure. he had to try to take care of these kittens and deal with all of this loss and all the shit she put him through. I would be shaking. And then to have her post shit like this. I can't. And also, I'm going to read what the main poster posted. This is So You Want a Hometown Truth page. Go follow them. They're incredible. I think, excuse me, this is very funny. I think we should just get rid of courtrooms and attorneys. Just use social media to plead our cases and let the judge decide based on FB posts. I also want to discuss technology for a minute. Did that video physically have to travel 90 miles? Or was it just sent via new age technology, via new age things like the internet or something fancy? I thought the state filed this case against her. Now Mike did? Not true. Mike is not subpoenaed. Mike does not have to go to court for this, by the way. This is the state filing the animal abuse charges against her. So she's taking out what the state is doing on Mike, the guy who she's already fucked over, who we just talked about, the guy doing the land contract. Okay. I mean, he did have to file to have her removed from a home she wasn't paying to live in. I did see his name on that home and case. Stop trying to use the lives of those innocent girls for your nonsense and attention. The poster is speaking to Erica because she reads the pages. And would you please just prove to us that you are a PI already, or maybe show some other receipts? The ones promised at the beginning of the year. Would you just solve a crime? Do something besides harass families and use victims. I couldn't agree more with you. So You Want a Hometown Truth page. So this is stupid and exhausting. None of these people care because what's happening is gross and wrong. Now let's take a look at what she posted. We're going to have to open this image, make it big, go visit it, share this tab instead, zoom in. Here's what Erica posted yesterday. As I'm reading the email from Mike about all the horrible fucking things she did to him. Okay? Never frame a private investigator for crimes she didn't commit. Oh, don't worry. No one did that. You're not a private investigator. And no one's framing you. So your premise is wrong, and so is your punchline, bitch. The state's case is quickly falling apart. No, it's not. Day by day, hour by hour, as we approach July 25th. What if I go to the... Can I go to this? Can I go to this? I'm going to check my savings. I might cash out my savings to go to this. Because I want to see. I want to see her get handcuffed. I hope they handcuff her. She better not just get probation. I would love to see this in person. I know everybody wants to go up for wanted to go up for the Delphi trial. I want to go up for this. I would love to see this bitch get what's coming to her. And what's coming to her, hopefully, is a jail cell. The animal control officer's story is now changing with the discovery of exculpatory photos that do not match the police report. The poor guy won't even return phone calls now. You're harassing the fuck out of him, ma'am. Then there's this little issue of the faked video taken by the state's star witness. There's a video of how she trashed the house, I believe, and the dead kittens. We're not going to be watching it. All right. And how minutes later, it magically traveled 90 miles and into the hands of an ISP sergeant inside the Delphi courtroom. It's called email, ma'am. Did I forget to mention I have an active restraining order against that witness? Yes, you put a restraining order against the guy so that you don't have to fucking pay rent, you psycho. That he has violated it more times than we can count. It's his house. With the help of the PD? Nope. He filed to get you kicked the fuck out because you didn't pay. That the MC, this is Michigan City, which is there in Indiana, that the MCPD, instead of arresting this habitual abuser and woman beater, he didn't abuse anybody. She's full of shit. Moving on. And that the video was immediately sent to ISP PIO Glenn Field to show to reporters, asking for a hit piece to be done on me during the trial. A hit piece? My God, Erica, they're all out to get you. If you're looking for a scapegoat, you'll need one. He's your guy. Michael Schmidt is yours on a silver platter, boys. Well, now I think that's trafficking, Erica. I think now you're trying to traffic Mike, and I don't appreciate it. How dare you? Don't try to traffic people that you owe rent to. Then there's that pesky Brady issue. I'm assuming she's talking about like Wayne Brady or one of the Bradys from TV. There's no way she's talking about a court thing, is she? How do you put LaPorte County cop on the stand to lie about this case, knowing it will Brady his crime scene testimony in the Delphi trial? This is the important part. Let's go back to segues. Remember when we were talking about segues? Remember when we were talking about how Anjanette Levy's like, by the way, Morgan and Morgan can't, how all these, that's the segue, right? That like, there's that moment where you're being a piece of shit. You can do great, but then you throw in a bad segue and now that's not cool. That's unethical and you're being kind of fucked up. So here's what I find interesting. This is her segue. This is the part. Look at how long this post is. This is the part where she takes a case about two little girls who were murdered heinously in Delphi, Indiana, and she makes it about her. This is the moment when you know you're being fed on a silver platter a bunch of bullshit. Way to make it about you, just like you did every single case you've touched before this, Erica. They didn't think this one through at all. Never frame a PI for crimes she didn't commit. She will eat you up and make sure everyone knows it. Well, now you're threatening cannibalism. I find that to be rude. I find that to be a bit silly. I mean, you're definitely eating something. Okay, I see. You're a burly bitch, and you scare me. You're thicker than a snicker, ma'am. But don't eat humans. Don't do that. It's rude. Your move, Fagin. Now, part of me thought she misspelled a slur, but that's just someone's name. Do you listen to Swiss? Now, at that part, I had to realize that's someone's name also. At first, I thought she hated the Swiss, and I went, Hank Brennan, and I got upset. And follow through with the public humiliation of an innocent woman? Oh, God. We are all, Erica. We are all innocent women, huh? Wow. Or do you risk Holman sending his boys from the Lowell Post to have a talk with you? Decisions. Sounds very ominous. So she put out that little threat, the little diatribe of delusion. Good for her. Good for her learning how to write. Because almost everything she puts on the internet, at least in typing form, is unintelligible. So good for her learning how to read and write. I genuinely thought she was illiterate. And now I guess I've been proven wrong. I guess I'm the dickhead. Yeah, that's probably why. I feel like she would beat a dude's ass. Just her titties alone, just poosh, 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 knock a guy out, you know? We'll probably see that move in wrestling one day. So, I find this all very interesting. Also, one of the comments makes me very happy. Whoever Robin is, love you, Robin. Shouldn't she be spending her time trying to debunk the YouTube video against her? Yeah, Erica, come here. Get in my face, bitch. Erica, I'd like to talk to you one-on-one. Hey, you like doing interviews. Why don't you come on? Let's go toe-to-toe. I'm also from Texas. I know some of the same people you do. I have questions. I have questions about money that you owe people. I also have questions about your credentials. In fact, I would love to get Erica on here with my old professor who's a Texas Ranger who still works for the Texas DPS, who's actually in charge of issuing some of those licenses that you lie about having. Erica, will you step up and come on with me with the Texas DPS officer who issues PI licenses, who's in charge of vetting you, who vets almost, 33% of the cases? I believe there's 3 of them who do that. Erica, will you come on and will you talk to him face to face? Erica, will you come on and will you talk to the people who issued you your supposed PI license? And maybe you can ask them where that went. Why your file says you never finished the application. Maybe he can inform you. Should I contact him tonight? How about this, Erica? How about you come on? I'll pay you. I'll pay you so your bitch ass can maybe wear a nice dress to court. How about that? You want to go buy a pretty dress, Erica? Something that shows off fun bags? How about this? How about I pay you, let's say $50? Is that good? Is that going to work out? How much is a Lane Bryant dress? How much are we talking? Like 100? What do I have to pay you to come on here and confront a Texas DPS official who single-handedly works to suss through who gets to be a PI or not, who checks all of your background, who helps issue all the PI licenses in the state of Texas? How about you come on and we'll put him on and I'll pay you. I'll buy you a nice dress for your cat killing hearing. Okay. So you can look cute. Yeah, Lane Bryant one. I want her to look classy. Something that fits this time. All right. No, she can't use it to buy Valium because I will get her a gift card. Okay. So you come on and we'll have you confront the guy who issues PI licenses, who vetted the PI licenses since, what was it, 2009? Yeah. How about that? Since yours wasn't issued until, what did you say? 87, 89, 2011, 2010, 2012, 2018, 2019, and 2022. Those are all the dates you cited on various sources. So how about you come on? I'll fucking pay you to get a nice fancy dress for your cat killing hearing. All right. And you can talk to a Texas DPS official. Now, he is going to have some questions. He's definitely going to have some questions. He's going to be a little irritated because I don't think you're supposed to practice without a PI license. He might actually issue you some sort of extradition warning or something. So just be prepared for that. But don't worry. You're legit. You're on the up and up. So you'll be fine, right? How about that? Why don't you come on? Okay. Old Fun Bag Supreme, why don't you come on? We'll get Mr. G in here. He'll talk to you. Okay. He's very smart. He could probably pull your file and in advance do his homework. And you're being framed right now. Okay. And I have empathy for that. I have empathy for a woman with nowhere to turn. So I'll get you a Lane Bryant dress. I'll pay for your gas. You are going to need to get your tags fixed too. Also, if you're going to keep being a PI, you're going to need that. So Funback Supreme, do you want to come on? Miss FB, Miss FBS, Funback Supreme, do you want to come on and do you want to talk to a private investigator vetter from the Texas DPS, a former Texas Ranger who still works with Texas DPS, whose job was literally more than likely your whole fucking application came through his hands. And if not, he can just pull it. You just pull it. And you can explain to us why that PI license all of a sudden is okay when in reality, the Texas law states that you're not allowed to do the shit you did. So why don't you come on? I'll pay you. You can talk to him about it. You can confront him. Okay? Because you are being framed. So you should have some answers, right? Don't you want answers, Erica, for why, the world's out to get you? Why don't you come on and tell us about your PI license? I want to be a PI, Erica. Don't you want to support women? Don't you want to help me, Erica? Help me get a PI license, Erica. Why don't you tell me about the procedures? Why don't you tell me about the application process? Why don't you make more warriors? Why don't you make more dragons? Why don't you come on, Erica? Come on the show. I'll pay you, Erica. I'll pay you. Vinny, you don't even know what we've been through, Vinny. I'll even let you do that. You can cry to Vinny. I'll get fucking old Papa Roger on here. You can cry to him too. How about that, Erica? How about that? No cats. I know how much you hate them. I won't show you a cat. I know you'll get upset. I don't want you to get triggered. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the Funback Supreme Fund so I can go to court and watch Funbags. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Mitty. I will legitimately put hey, back me up, Bob. Back me up. Bob, where are you? Back me up on this. I love polka dots, but I want to get her like a Dusty Rhodes. Like, remember when Dusty Rhodes wore the polka dot outfit when he was fighting for the world championship back with Sapphire? And Ric Flair coming up in here trying to get a son of a plumber. I will pay her in gift cards, just like Marcus said. Just like Marcus said, I'm going to give her gift cards. For Lane Bryant, we're going to get, oh my God, bags packed. Bags packed. Thank you so much, Clam. Thank you, Laura. Listen, all this is going to go to me on the Alf Sex party line on my way to Indiana so I can watch this hearing. I'm very interested. Get her a black bed sheet. Oh, God. Then we won't see the sweat stains. We need to know where the part is that you can't sit on the bed. Everywhere she sits is the wet spot. That's all I'm saying. Okay, moving on. Erica, I would love to have you on. I would love to ask you questions about being a private investigator. I'd like to ask you questions about fun bags. I'd like to ask you questions about why you killed the cats. That's a big one. I'm a little angry about that. I'm very angry about that. I want to ask you why you fucked over Mike and why you keep annoying the shit out of him and bringing his fucking name up. Maybe you should keep his fucking name out of your mouth, and then maybe I'll keep your name out of my mouth. Or we can both put names in each other's mouths as we talk to a Texas DPS officer. How about that? You want to come on? You want to come on here and plead your case? You oppressed woman? I'm open to it. And for those of you who think I'm being mean, she killed cats. I could be a lot meaner. I could say some heinous, hateful things. But you shouldn't let people turn you into someone you don't want to be. Just rip on them until it's not fun anymore. We could wrestle in gravy. She'd eat the gravy. All right. So we are now going to move on. I want to show you some things. Okay. I'm going to show you some things today. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to pick out some of the things that are not highlighted. We've talked about the past tense before and how difficult it is. Some of the things that I think are important in this case that I have not seen a lot of people talk about, anything that I have not seen in the mainstream zeitgeist that I think needs to be pointed out about this case, Delphi specifically. And the one person, and it's why I'm always praising her, that includes everything, whether it's pro Richard or anti Richard, whether it hurts him or helps him, it doesn't matter. She still puts it up. And I appreciate her Canadian ass for being so non-discerning. Like, you know what? Just throw it all in there, because if this is what happened, it's historically accurate, whether we like it or not. Is Turbo. Our bitch Turbo. And we love her. She's a bitch's bitch. Like how there's a comics comic. A man's man. She's a bitch's bitch. We love her. She is the brew that the witch drinks from. She rules. She's Canadian as fuck. She's sweet as hell. She went to the trial with Teddie. She was there. Her and Teddie were there. They took very thorough notes. Again, whether it helped or hurt Richard's case, it didn't matter. And also, remember that golf video? We love Canada. Hail Canada. Now, thank you in advance to Turbo for allowing me to play some of these videos for you today. They are from her channel. I highly recommend, and I say that both because I am a little high and because I mean like a lot. I mean like I recommend a lot going and adding her channel, because the amount of people who have said, thank you for recommending Turbo's channel. I saw things about this case I've never seen before, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. I say, thank you, Paul. And here's why. Because they're right. She includes everything. She doesn't cherry pick to suit her needs. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it deeply. Especially because people are saying, like, this is Richard's life on the line. This is justice for these girls. Well, if so, stop picking to suit your agenda and show it all. If it's available, show it. Now, I want to be very clear. Do I mean show the crime scene photos of two juveniles covered in blood or murdered or nude? No. I don't even mean show Richard eating his own shit. I think that is just debasing of a human being. The jury saw it. They saw what they saw, and yet they still decided he was guilty. So with that said, if it's available, show it. The fact that so much has been available, but we don't see it anywhere, pisses me off. You know where I do see it, though? Turbo's channel. One thing I would like to point out before we play what I'm going to show you, because I'm going to show you quite a few things. There was one question that I got asked a lot in the comments, and a few people messaged me asking me this question. They were like, well, if Richard did it, what was the motive? The girls weren't sexually assaulted, so what's the motive? And I would say, well, he told you he wanted to sexually assault them, but they weren't. So that's not true. Let me ask you a question. And this is, I'm sorry if this is too dark, but what else do you call holding two underage kids, two girls, two minor children at gunpoint, forcing them to get naked in public, in the woods, taking their clothes off and killing them? Is that not a sex assault? If your child's teacher forced your child at gunpoint to take all of her clothes off in front of a class, you don't think that would count as a sex assault? I've seen a lot of people say there was no DNA. The serologist, there was no semen in them. Okay. Is that the only way to sexually assault someone? Clarify for me. If someone gropes your tit, that's sex assault, right? If someone grabs your titty, that's sex assault. There's no semen on your tit, okay? There's probably not going to be blood DNA on your tit. It's a groping. It's also a sex assault. If somebody makes you take your clothes off, that's a sex assault. I find it so unbelievably stupid that people say just because there was no DNA found in the girls, just because a sex assault kit came back clear, which it didn't, by the way. They did an assault kit, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't have been because of the situation, the degradation, the moisture, the things that were going on at the crime scene. But I'm sorry, if you're making two girls get nude and you are an adult man and you are holding them at gunpoint as well, that is a sex assault. So when people say, hey, they weren't sexually assaulted, I say, what else do you fucking call that? You don't have to leave DNA to assault someone. With that said, I'm going to show you some of the things that today is the day where we're starting out a little different. The order we're going in is I'm going to show you the things that I don't think anybody else has reported on. There is one thing in here that I've talked about a little bit, and it's the interview with one of his former coworkers. I believe the murder sheet might have talked to her, and she posted in Reddit and she posted in a Facebook group. Okay. Turbo went ahead and Turbo reached out to her. She read through the statement from this young lady and put it online. I find it interesting that so many people don't show a lot of the things that you're going to see in here. And what's even more interesting to me is I looked at the notes Turbo took and compared them to the actual documents that I FOIA'd with the exact transcript. When I tell you her and Teddie took such thorough notes that the exact court transcript that you can order and pay for and get through FOIA matches her notes perfectly. And just for shits and giggles, because, craziest person on earth taught me all about, like, you got to do scientific variables. There has to be, you have to have a consistent base, right? And then you have to work from there. You have to build. What is your theory? What is your analysis? What are you seeking? What is happening? There's so many different variables that go into a test, an experiment. So I took the notes that Turbo and Teddie have done and compared them to the actual documents that are now out, and they are the exact same. What's interesting is I took those same transcripts and I looked at the stuff that's being put out by other creators. And I noticed they leave a lot out. A lot. They pick and they choose. That's why I trust Turbo. And I highly recommend you check this out on our channel. Thank you, Turbo, for letting us see this. Now, you're going to see a couple of different, it's going to be a little, you're going to see, first of all, the new witness evidence photos and exhibits. We're going to start with that. I do have all of the ones that are available that I'm making into a slideshow for you, and we're going to look at them ourselves later. But the ones that I find are important and interesting are the ones that nobody's sharing, and she's sharing a lot of them. In fact, there's another reporter who shared quite a bit of, let's just say, Turbo helps out a lot by making sure the right people get the right information. And I appreciate that about her. So you're going to see a lot tonight. We're going to start out with that. Then we're going to go into the Walmart creep story from his prior coworker. We're going to talk about the box cutter, which she posted a great video on. Then you're going to hear from 3 of Richard Allen's family members who talk about how they feel. And like I said, not all of it is anti-Richard. So you're going to hear some things that might be a little pro-Richard. Again, that's what I love about Turbo, does not discriminate. Okay? And then you're going to hear from the blood expert, Pat Cicero, the exact notes from court. This is the document I'm telling you. When I pulled up the Pat Cicero documents, the PDF, the court files, they match exactly what Turbo says. The only thing she fucked up on was she said 70 feet at one part, and it's 7 to 8 feet. But when we get there, I'll pause it. And I will make sure that I correct that. And she corrected that below the video. I highly encourage you to go follow her. With that said, let's get right into it. I love that she did this so that it saves me having to talk the entire time, because I also cannot stand my own voice sometimes. Some people like to say, oh, you just talk to hear the sound of your own voice. No, trust me, I don't. I can't handle it. All right, here we go. Again, thank you, Turbo. Thank you, Paul. And I will post a link to her channel in here so that you can follow it. Here you go.
New evidence exhibits have been released for convicted child killer Richard Allen. Allen took the young lives of victims Liberty German and Abigail Williams on February 13, 2017. My friend Teddie and I attended the trial in Delphi, Indiana, and we heard testimony from 2 of the juvenile witnesses who saw Bridge Guy that day, and we did a full recap of that testimony. I will include the link in the description of this video. On the stand, witness Rayleigh Voorhees and Brianne Wilbur gave very compelling testimony regarding the man they saw that day. We also heard from witness Betsy Blair, whose Fitbit data corroborated her testimony for times when she was at the trails twice that day. On her second trip, she witnessed Libby and Abby heading to the bridge, and she also confirmed the man she saw on the first platform was the man in the photos that law enforcement released from the 43-second video of Libby's phone taken right before their murders. Allen put himself on the bridge that day during the times that these witnesses saw the killer at the trails. Some of the exhibits presented to the jury that ultimately convicted Allen of these crimes were photos taken by these witnesses. Also newly released are the evidence photos that Sheriff Tony Liggett took at the CVS pharmacy in Delphi where Allen worked. 9 seconds of video were captured on the Who's Your Harvester video camera for a vehicle that matched the 2016 black Ford Focus that Allen drove. Other new exhibits released by reporter Susan Hendricks from Headline Crime Today show exhibits entered on day 6 of trial when Detective Vito was on the stand. You can view the results of items taken during the executed search warrant of Allen's home on October 13, 2022 on her channel. Those exhibits include the .40 caliber 6-hour gun, the unspent round that was found in his memory box that was similar to the unspent round recovered at the crime scene. A Carhartt jacket was also recovered, and she released new images of Allen taken at the High Bridge in 2016. I will include a link to her video in the description. Thank you for watching.
All right, for those of you who are just watching and not listening, I'm going to read this part. Joe Lynn worked with Rick Allen at the Lafayette Walmart on Commerce Drive in 2010. Rick was later transferred to Bradley, Illinois Walmart due to inappropriate behavior to women. Rick would later return to this Walmart in 2014. This is Joe Lynn's story.
In 2010, I worked at Walmart in Lafayette, Indiana as an overnight stalker. There were several shift managers, and one of them was Richard Allen, the Delphi murderer. I only knew him as Rick. I never even knew his name was Richard until I saw his pics in the news. I got a message from a former coworker who was like, "Is that Rick from Walmart?" And I was like, "Holy shit, it is." Anyway, his wife also worked there at one time. She worked at the counter at one point, and I didn't have much interaction with her, honestly. She was very nice when I did see her, and I never heard anything bad about her. She seemed quiet, didn't say a lot, but friendly to everybody. As for Rick, I'll tell you all some stories in no particular order and my general impressions. These are not in chronological order, just as they come to my memory. Generally, he was a funny guy. As a manager, I thought he was pretty all right at first. Not super strict, would joke around with you, laid back. He was one of the managers who might sit in the break room and eat with us on 2 a.m. lunch break rather than sit in the manager's office. As time went on, though, he became kind of creepy flirty. He would make inappropriate comments to the women. Things like, if we were stocking shelves and he came by to check each department, if we were bent over doing something, or bent over picking something up, he might linger. And if we asked what he was doing, he would smirk or wink and say, "Just watching you do your job." If it was a group of women working together and he had to come talk to us, he would say things like, "What a lucky guy I am," and look us up and down. Things like that. We would all roll our eyes and tell him to quit. I honestly laughed it off. It didn't feel malicious. We were all just kind of like, "That's Rick," and blew it off. The third crowd at most places have dark senses of humor and are a unique group. So honestly, we just blew it off and didn't take it too seriously. After work one morning, a couple of us went to his house. No, not his current house that's on the news. A few girls and a few guys, and we grilled out. I recall being in the kitchen somewhat, but mostly we just hung outside. I honestly don't recall anything weird about that encounter. Flash forward a bit. One thing I need to mention is that I'm a gay woman. My then fiance and I worked there together. Over time, Rick kept making the random flirty comments, but we noticed he was making them to us more often. Then he started saying things like, "Have you guys ever had a threesome? I bet guys are always asking you guys for one." Or, "I bet all your guy friends would give anything to hook up with you girls." I wasn't offended necessarily, but was just like, wow, this guy is creepy. One night we went to Burger King to get lunch and we were picking up orders for several coworkers. They had all written down their orders and give us their money. Rick insists on going with us. He said, "There's no way you guys can carry all that food and drink. I'll help you and make sure they get the orders right." We were like, "Whatever, dude." He insists on driving his car. We go to the Burger King, which is like a 2-minute drive from Walmart. I don't remember what he asked us or talked about. I just remember feeling like he was a creep and I didn't want to be in that car. At one point, we were complaining that the orders were taking so long. And he's like, "If you're late from lunch, don't worry. I'll make sure they don't count it against you. We can be gone as long as we want." And he winked. We both were like, "Get me out of here." We must have had a weird expression because he said, "What? You don't like hanging out with me? Now, like I'm going to kidnap you or something?" And laughed. Knowing what I know now, I shudder at that memory. He didn't do anything to us, though, and we went back to work. Another night, we went to get Taco Bell on lunch break. and it took us a while because the line was long. And we came back and he was like, "Did you guys have a quickie in the car?" I wonder if the security cameras outside caught that. At this point, it was starting to get weird. My fiance and I were like, this dude is creeper status. One shift, he followed us into the women's bathroom. He walked in a few seconds behind us. He made small talk for a minute, but we were super uncomfortable. We asked what he was doing, and he was like, "Oh, we had a report of shoplifted merchandise in here. Was just checking." "Why? You don't want to hang out with me?" We quickly were like, no, and went to the stalls and shut the doors. He left. Eventually, we and some of the other women went to the general manager and said we didn't feel comfortable around him. It honestly was hard because the third shift crew is such a tight crew and word travels fast. Pretty soon after that, he got transferred. I don't know where or to what store or what happened after that. I honestly forgot about him. It's been over a decade. Imagine my shock when I see his face on the news and I start seeing things and hearing things like, "Guys, is that Rick?" It's wild. When I think back, I definitely felt like he was a creeper. One of those weird, gross, pervy men, and you ladies know what I mean. I never got murderer vibes, though, but I definitely thought he was a creep. And I had definitely long forgotten about
Also, I just want to point out, I see what you're saying, Belly May. For now, this is speculation, but keep in mind, this isn't Turbo talking from her own perspective. This is Turbo reading a statement from a young lady who personally knew Richard, something that I don't think anyone in this chat can say. So I think it's important insight for sure. Now, I'm interested to see if there is anything in the trial transcripts related to this incident, if it was touched on. And I guess if this were a debate, I would argue, well, they didn't really hit on any of the probable cause in the Franks memo. So, I believe the prosecution could have asked a lot of things they didn't. And I believe the defense could have said a lot of things that they didn't, including the whole fucking point of the Franks hearing. But that's just me. Now, I do find it important to state that this is his old coworker. She has given a statement. She posted on Reddit. She posted in Facebook. She spoke, I believe, on the murder sheet. Shock to Turbo. I have no idea if they talked to her in the court hearing. I did not see anything from her, but I also don't know that they really needed that. So I'm a little interested in just seeing if they do. I'm not going to I'm going to reach out to this woman, I think, but I don't want to bother her too much because her and her wife or her girlfriend, they're lesbians and they caught a lot of shit after this. And I don't want to fuck her up after Gay Pride Month and get her a bunch of trolls on her ass again. However, I'm not going to shit on her for her opinion, especially when we have people who don't know Richard out here accusing complete strangers of doing Odinist sacrifices. We got someone who actually knows the guy giving her opinion, who was clearly harassed by him at work. Whether or not he was fired for that, not really an issue. The fact that multiple people have a similar story, some of them don't want to come out because of the way people treat people who speak on the case. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But I do think this is interesting insight. And I don't see too many people bringing this up on the opposite side. So with that said, no, just a lot of harassment for being gay and stuff. It's sad. Sad we still live in that kind of world.
We're like, no, and went to the stalls and shut the doors. He left. Eventually, we and some of the
No, completely agree, Laura. Completely agree. In fact, I would argue, if I had to pick apart the prosecution, here's what I'd say. I'd say they fucked up big time. I'm going to pause in the middle of this to tell you what I think they fucked up on. Didn't collect the sticks. The sticks that were touching the bodies. kind of a big deal. They had to go back and get them. There was, I believe, like a 48-hour window when anybody could have fucked up the crime scene. Anybody could have touched those sticks. Kind of made them useless. I won't call them runes because that's not what they are. Let's not be silly. Okay? So not collecting the sticks, huge snafu, unacceptable. Fix that. That's a problem. They could have done a lot more testing on those sticks. Now, you are going to hear, I believe it's Cicero, talk about the DNA in the tree. Not all touch DNA was lost. That's another misconception about this case. There's quite a bit that's on the tree, which was from Libby's hand. And they will tell you that it is testified and they explain it. And it makes total sense. And if you look at the OSINT cheat sheet, there's a lot of peer-reviewed studies, forensic articles, and forensic teachings that go into blood on all kinds of surfaces, including bark and trees. And I will absolutely make that part free for everybody to see, regardless of if you're a member or not. I'll put all of the DNA forensic shit that we have in the OSINT cheat sheet there so you can go over it yourself. But Cicero does talk about this. I can't give you the URL, Daniel. That's the point. It's one of the perks of the channel. But I will make a separate one that includes all of the, we'll do serology, DNA, and a couple of other forensic studies that apply to this case. I will include it in there. This is precedent for them to learn upon. While they did test it's going to be, if you're that member tier, Daniel, it's going to be on the community posts. And I post it every month. It's not just a member. You have to be the second from the top tier. So I think it's $10 a month. But I'm going to make that part of it. I will make a separate one free and I will post the link public for everyone. I'll do that tomorrow or tonight. So I do think that they should have collected those sticks. Now, they did swab all over the area. They collected DNA from all over the area. There were literal pools of blood. So all that shit about there not being blood at the crime scene is a lie. Libby was dragged approximately 7 to 8 feet. She was sitting up at one point against the tree. They have a thumbprint of her on the tree. That F is not an F, it's an upside down T shape, and it wasn't done on purpose. And it was the victim who left that blood. And they explained that. They went into it in court. Now, this may sound new to you. That's because nobody fucking talks about it, because everybody who has all the clout and gets all the views, they're free Richard. They're anti-prosecution. So they don't want to talk about that. But that's important to know that is what they did. And it is 100% testified to. We have the transcripts. Okay. So we are going to look at that. But I do think it's fucked up. I don't care if they swabbed the sticks. I understand they took pictures of them. I understand they collected the bullet. They collected the phone, which was under Abby. They took pictures of the tree. They tested the bar. They swabbed everything. Everything got fucking swabbed, but they should have collected the sticks. They fucked up with that. That's kind of a big deal to me. I would have hit harder on that. Oddly, I feel like the defense was so up their own ass about the Sodinism thing. They didn't really bother with, hey, you didn't fucking get the sticks. What's wrong with you? As much as I would have pushed very hard on that, quite frankly. Yeah, they want her free, the guy who took the lives of 2 children, because of an Odinist thing that 3 coffin doffers told them about a long time ago. All right, here's another one. Dan Doolin, the guy who did the initial interview, the DNA guy, or not DNA, what do you call it? DNR guy. He's the guy who works for the parks. He was the one who did the initial interview with Alan. Now they want you to think that he just said, oh, meet me over here at this store. No, that was Alan. Alan's the one who suggested the store. He refused to go to the police station, which they don't want you to see that, but this was testified to. They also don't want you to know that he refused to meet anywhere that was a place, like essentially they couldn't meet at the station, and he didn't want to meet anywhere where it was recorded. He wanted to meet at this grocery store. He said, I'll meet you at this, like that was Alan's arranged spot. This was also done on the 18th, not the next day, not that day, 4 days later. He also said his wife told him to do it. But what's interesting is his wife says in the fucking interview with him, the second one, technically, the first one in October, I believe, she says, you didn't tell me that. So I think it's interesting that he lied to her clearly. She's just finding out he was on the bridge at that time, yet he maintains that she's the one who convinced him to go to the police. But you'll hear more from Dan Doolin. We're going to talk about that later. But I do think it was fucked up that Dan Doolin didn't get that first meeting recorded, especially because he stated in that meeting the exact times he was there, which was 1 to 3. And then he did a 30-minute time shift. And then when he comes in October, all of a sudden there was no way I was there later than 1. Well, guess what? We have his car on video. And Betsy Blair, she went to the park twice that day. She went once, and then she went to take a dump, and then she came back. And everybody gave her shit because of her dump ski, but we'll get to that. That's all on another day. I'm just going through what I think the prosecution fucked up on. I think that Dan Doolin should have gotten a recording. I think they should have taken those sticks, not just swabbed them. Losing Sarah Carborough's third interview, the Muddy Bloody, was fucked up. Now, she testified that she is certain, she has no fucking doubt, and she fought back on that. She's like, I said Muddy and Bloody. Just because they don't fucking have it or they didn't get it down, that's not on me. But I said that shit. I feel like also the defense could have hit harder on that and been like, what the fuck? I mean, they tried, but let's be real. If the prosecution lost an entire DVR that has evidence, evidence that Sarah Carborough said Muddy and Bloody, that's a big thing to lose. And I think that the prosecution fucked up with that. Also, they lost a Snapchat cache of the picture that is infamous of him walking across the bridge. They have the video, but the picture is not in the Snapchat cache. I have a theory on why that is. It has a lot to do with some of the terms and conditions of Snapchat at the time in 2017, some of the settings. And remember, Libby she fucked up her phone before that, and they had to basically reboot it, if you will, or reset it and give her a different one or the same one, but it was all reset. That resets your defaults in Snapchat that can include immediately clearing cache. So I think that's interesting, and I wish that the prosecution would have brought in an expert on that, in addition to an expert on the cell phone jack and why water, specifically in iPhone, specifically in the iPhone 6S, can cause it to log itself out at the contact of water, like literally shut down the entire phone. Because if it's on and there's water in it, that causes more damage than if it's off. So it triggers a shutdown. It tries to turn itself on. It usually does that when it's dry, which to me explains why the phone came back on. But Eldridge, the FBI's top bitch, comes in and says, no, that means it must have been moved. No, ma'am. And I did pull all the cell towers from that area in 2017. And we're going to do a whole episode on that in the geofence location warrant. But for now, back to this. Just a thought. Don't come at me with this shit like you're one-sided, you're not being fair. Oh, I think the prosecution fucked up plenty. Okay? But in the end, Richard confessed to fucking everybody, and there's a lot that gets left out there, and I still think he did it based on the evidence that we do have. That's just my opinion. Let's continue.
Other women went to the general manager and said we didn't feel comfortable around him. It honestly was hard because the third shift crew is such a tight crew and word travels fast. Pretty soon after that, he got transferred. I don't know where or to what store or what happened after that. I honestly forgot about him. It's been over a decade. Imagine my shock when I see his face on the news and I start seeing things and hearing things like, guys, is that Rick? It's wild. When I think back, I definitely felt like he was a creeper. One of those weird, gross, pervy men. And you ladies know what I mean. I never got murderer vibes, though. But I definitely thought he was a creep. And I had definitely long forgotten about him. And it's wild to think about.
I had to give a deposition in this case last February, long before the trial actually, started up in the fall. During the course of a deposition, you're testifying under oath, and at the time I was asked about, what I thought in terms of a weapon, and I really had to tell them at the time, well, it's serrated life, but I can't be more precise.
Yeah.
And of course, they document that. Well, during the course of last summer, because you don't shut your mind off to thinking about this thing, because I know the case is coming up. It's going to be a big deal. I was out in my garage, happened to glance over at my workbench, and there on one of the pegboards, I saw a box knife hanging there that had a very almost identical pattern as what I described as those serrated-like marks on the side as a thumb grip. And I looked at that and said, son of a gun, that would explain exactly what we're dealing with, box knife. And that would fit the depth of the wounds we were dealing with. It would fit the contused edges of the wounds.
Yeah.
Everything would fit with the box knife. So I communicated that with the prosecution next time I met with them. A week or so after I testified, I was following the trial in the media, and I came across an article about one of the other witnesses who happened to be the warden at one of the state prisons where he was held for a time prior to trial. And the warden was one of the many people that are accused confessed to, in addition to confessing to family, confessing to other cellmates, and multiple other people, some of which were recorded. He confessed to this one warden, and what he told the warden was he'd used a box knife and then thrown it in a dumpster. Had that information been forwarded to me at some point, it would have kind of verified we had essentially two people who independently had information suggesting box knife. And that was one of the things I think that hopefully convinced the jury that box knife is something I thought could have been done, and then somebody is actually confessed to that says he admitted using a box knife.
Yes.
And you can't write that sort of thing off as coincidence.
I got a lot going on in my life. I don't know if you try to research this Ricky thing. I don't know if this Ricky thing's a real thing. I mean, I suppose it is.
To be clear, these are 3 different family members of Rick Allen speaking on Rick Allen, and you can hear the difference in the voices. Also, just in case you didn't see in chat, we are going in an order for a reason. I'm still waiting on some Sarah Carberall information. I have a couple of documents on her already, straight from the FOIA. But I also have 3 sources, one of which thinks Rick is innocent, and 2 who think he's guilty, who all agreed and wrote the exact same notes for Sarah's testimony. So when you have 3 people on both sides of the aisle that all have the same notes, to me, it tracks. I don't see why any of them would lie when all 3 of them have seemingly gotten the same results. They just interpret them differently. I would like to get the official court transcript back, but until then, I have to rely on that. Now, I have some documents on her, but not all of them. I do have the drawing of her car, though, the car that was in the CPS lot. I have questions about that. I'd like to ask Turbo, Teddie, and one other person who might come on about it, but we'll get there. Right now, these are 3 of Richard's relatives speaking. So listen to this. And again, I'm not fucking sitting here. I'm not just going to, I'm not going to cherry pick for you. Okay, I'm going to show you things that you might not have seen already. Yeah, that's at the beginning, but we're going to go through everything. Hopefully, we'll get through all of it in less than a fucking year. I think that we're going to hopefully get through it in maybe 2 weeks total. We might have to take breaks in between while I wait for more documents, but I think that this is important. Again, these are his family members, people who personally knew Richard. They're not all going to say things like, I think he did it. Some of them are going to say he's not guilty. So in case anybody wants to say, oh, she's only showing the shit that says he's guilty. No, I'm just showing you people who know him because he's the guy. He's the suspect. He's why there is him and the girls are why everyone's here. So we're going to hear it all, whether we like what we're hearing or not. End of story.
I know that sounds crazy, right? There's 2 girls. Like, I don't know. But I try not to watch the news because I live in toxicity. of people that, just over stuff like that. And so everybody was like, don't tell me that, Ricky, like, I don't know why, but that's what they said. I can't see him killing 2 girls, but I can't see a lot of people killing 2 people, No, I think it's a story. Really? Yeah, for some reason I do. And then this thing comes up with Ricky. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't. People say so much stuff to me. Like, I don't believe shit that comes out nobody's mouth. I don't believe, believe none of what you hear, only half of what you see, or even half of what
Honestly,
you see.
I think this girl is so smart. Like, brilliant. I agree with you, hun. I don't believe shit I fucking hear. Girl, yes. Thank you. I'm kind of the same way, but I'm trying to, I believe the records. I got to hear the tone sometimes. I need to see them. That helps. But overall, when in doubt, just fucking don't believe in anything.
You got to piece that shit together and know for yourself. You know what I mean? I don't know the situation. Dad didn't really talk about it that much, to be honest with you. Dad, who, Ricky? No. You mean come where we're at? No. I've maybe seen Ricky when I was a little girl. Well, no, I don't watch the news. Kathy told my mom to not tell me, and my mom told me the shit's fake about Ricky. Like, I never, really remember Ricky. I remember maybe meeting him once when I was little, 'cause he's older than me. But if this shit is fake, like, this is sick. It's sick. This is sick. It's sick. I mean, what's he telling you? Okay, well, yeah, I would like to talk to him. I mean, if he wants to talk to me, no, I've never had a chance to talk to him, But I would like, I would like to maybe message him, I appreciate you reaching out to me.
I don't know what happened. My cousin knew of him because when died, he had to hunt his number down to call him and tell him that's why he's in the obit. He never mentioned in that short call that he had a wife or kids, so that's why they aren't listed in the obit. That's all I know. One of my other cousins remembers seeing him at our grandparents' sometimes, but that's all he remembers. I'm very familiar with DNA and have had many family members test, including, and I just know there is no way they had his DNA from the crime scene and just caught him now. If so, the police are idiots, is how I feel about it. But that doesn't mean he did or didn't do it. That's just all I know. Sorry, I just meant they didn't use genetic genealogy to find him through DNA. I'm on every database and opted in, and I've done Parabon Snapshot. He also has a close family member who had DNA taken from police in Indiana for another crime. I've been on that for a while and on GEDmatch and opted in, as well as FTDNA and everywhere else. I've used my DNA to join genealogical societies as well. If he did do it and they had his DNA, I'm pissed it took them this long. So I just mean, if he left DNA at the crime scene, they should have been able to catch him sooner. I'm not saying he didn't do it at all. I have no idea. I also got my paternal uncle to do a Y-DNA test for some genealogical societies as well. So he's in FTDNA too. I am very much a truth seeker.
Again, I want to get there, but I see you guys talking about it now. So I'll tell you a little bit about the height thing. But trust me, we're going to get there. Told you guys can't answer every fucking question about this thing in an hour. It's it's a big ass case. There are a ton of files. Still waiting on some. But I'll tell you this much. Dan Doolin, he's the guy who has access to all the records for all the fishing licenses and hunting licenses and everything. When he testified, you know what's interesting? He said that his interview with Richard happened, right? Then shortly after that, something else interesting happened or shortly before that, they went ahead and they did a historical check of Richard's account through the Fish and Game Licensing Commission. And you have these profiles when you register to get your fishing and your hunting licenses. What's interesting is you can change things in your profile. And in April, I believe the year he killed the girls, it was just shortly after, let's just say this. Shortly after the girls died, Richard went into his profile and changed his height from 5'4" to 5'6". He also decreased his weight, even though he did get fatter. You have to manually do that yourself. It's kind of an interesting thing to do, isn't it? Don't worry, we haven't gotten to his Google search history yet. I think that's very important to also consider. And when you see it, you might be a little surprised and go, I wonder why nobody ever showed me this before when so many people have it. That is something interesting to do because you don't really grow 2 inches when you're his age, do you? Interesting.
Didn't do it. I hope that.
And also they do, you can, BG's height, we will get there. We will get there. We will get there.
Truth comes out too. At 7:08 p.m. on Thursday, August 1st, 2024, Day 3 of the pre-trial hearings for Richard Allen, the man accused of killing Liberty German and Abigail Williams in Delphi, Indiana, on February 13, 2017, Special Prosecutor James Luttrell led a masterful direct of his state witness, Major Pat Cicero. Cicero respectfully and methodically testified as to bloodstain and pattern analysis for this crime, including the movement at the scene of Libby and what he described as the upside-down L blood pattern on the tree. Cicero is currently with the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office and was Chief of Detectives prior to his current rank of Major. He specializes in crime scene reconstruction, forensic entomology, overall crime scene analysis. Cicero has been involved in setting standards for numerous courses in crime scene reconstruction. He's involved in many conferences on the specialized subject and teaches at the Indiana Law Enforcement Crime Scene Center and the National Forensic Academy in Tennessee. At the Forensic Academy in Tennessee, he conducts an intensive 10-week course in bloodstain pattern analysis, for which he has 20 years' experience. He has testified in more than 30 cases as an expert on the subject. On February 12, 2024, Cicero was requested to provide expert analysis for this case. He reviewed numerous crime scene pictures as taken by 5 to 6 different law enforcement investigators at the crime scene, the post-mortem report, lab reports, diagrams, photos from both the crime scene and the autopsies on the girls. Luttrell entered all of this as state exhibits number 36 and 37 and requested it be kept under seal. Cicero went to the crime scene as well, accompanied by retired FBI agent Rich Davies, which we heard about in previous testimony. He took time to review and understand the crime scene. Cicero physically examined items of evidence, clothing discovered near Abby. Without getting too graphic, Cicero conducted a review of the blood on the items from the crime scene. Luttrell enters exhibit number 30.
It's an overall picture of the tree with the decedents in the background. There's bloodstain on the ground, which he categorized as a pooling of blood and voluminous. There's a tree in the foreground. Luttrell enters exhibit number 31. It's a close-up of leaf litter with bloodstains. Please note, at this point of Cicero's testimony, I observed defense attorney Jennifer Auger holding up pictures from the exhibit. I could see several trees and a large area of the leaf litter. Luttrell enters exhibit number 33. It's a close-up of a tree, and there's bloodstains on the more northern part of the tree. Luttrell enters exhibit number 34. Scaling out of the bloodstain, upside down L shape. Cicero stated that the letter F is referenced frequently in the material of the investigation. Luttrell asked if it appeared to be a symbol F on the tree. Cicero responded no. It appeared like an upside down L. Cicero indicated that the purpose of using enhanced digitization of bloodstains was to view them easier. He understood why it said F, but what is missing is the second horizontal prong. Cicero agreed with Luttrell that it was a reddish or pinkish tint on the tree in the bark, and that there was a visual distortion of what was on the tree. Please note, Auger held up the photo, which I was again able to view. There was what appeared to be a scientific ruler across the top and along the left side of the page, beside the upside-down L bloodstain on the tree. Luttrell has Cicero look at exhibit number 36. It shows Abby and Libby. The left side of the photo has a large pooling of blood. He can clearly see discoloration to the west side of Abby and Libby. Cicero states that the northeastern part of the tree had an overall pattern that was 3.4 inches by 7 inches. Different patterns were noted. There were transfer bloodstains. There was a quantity of 6 individual droplets. There was transfer stains to the left of the upside-down L. Cicero indicated that the tree came in contact with another object, and energy was applied to the blood to cause spatter. Spatter is typically 1 to 4 millimeters in size. In this case, the spatter is 1 to 3 millimeters in size. The vertical portion of the upside-down L was caused by gravity. There was blood near the base of the tree, 4 feet from the base, 2 feet from the base, and a large pooling of blood. To the right, approximately 4 feet from the base, Cicero observed more transfer that was darker brown. It was red. A few feet to the west of Abby's foot, there was a pooling of blood. Luttrell asked if the other blood was in between the blood at the base of the tree and the pooling. Cicero described a quantity of 2 smaller pools that accumulated. They lacked drips or other descriptives. The areas were much smaller amongst the leaf litter. Luttrell asked Cicero about the analysis of the blood on Libby, and if he studied the pictures and read the reports. Cicero stated that all of the blood originated from Libby. After he studied dozens of pictures, a brief overall description, he analyzed the tree, he analyzed the base of the tree, and he analyzed the large pool of blood. Cicero agreed that the only blood of Abby was immediately adjacent to her. Cicero shockingly testified that Libby was mobile at the time of Libby's foot. Northeast of the tree, there was a large amount of blood. Libby's body was dragged through the pool and there was transfer to the back of her leg and calf. Libby was dragged through the large pool to her final resting place. Libby's left arm was left in a raised position, which was consistent with Libby being dragged. Libby was mobile and moving due to the indicators. At some point, Libby was in a sitting position because on her right thigh there was a projected pattern and her blood was under pressure. The blood was ejected and subsequent flow patterns came out. The injury itself had to be over the thigh as the flow pattern was down her leg, and therefore Libby was most likely seated at the time. Libby was in the general location of where she was killed, but there was some movement. The bloodstain on her face indicated that her head was turned at one point. There was pooling accumulation. Most movement of her upper torso was a movement of her head from her upper body being lifted up at one point. Blood is a fluid. Her face and chin had flow pattern. Libby had lots of blood on both hands, and Cicero had seen this in his work hundreds of times. Given the wounds to her neck, her injuries were carotid arteries and the jugular vein was compromised. There was lots of blood loss. Injuries to the neck and raising her hands was a natural reaction. Libby was mobile and the blood was flowing down her neck. Libby's arms and hands had voluminous amounts of blood. Abby did not have blood on her hands or sweatshirt. The trial asked if Abby was redressed after receiving the injuries. Cicero responded no. Cicero testified that Abby had clothing on at the time of her injuries: a gray sports bra, a black bra, a hoodie, and a tank top. There was heavy saturation to the clothing. She was wearing clothes at the time of her murder.
I do want to go back a little bit because this is important. I also want to point out, I'm not sure if she said it because I had to let the pupper out, but when she says 70 to 80 feet in relation to Libby, I just want to go down and show you. She makes a correction. It's at the 16 mark. Okay, so we're not there yet. So when she gets to 16 minutes, there's a numerical error. The first line should read 7 to 8 feet away, not 70. So she does correct that. Good for her. Love that for her. Okay. Yeah, so that is a doctored image that was leaked by the defense and left out quite a bit. This is the blood expert, and they have, when I tell you the list of exhibits is massive, over 300, they have a ton of each individual pool of blood. And the jurors saw it, and the people in the courtroom saw it. They showed quite a bit to just the jurors who were just very upset, and it is all on the record. I don't know that they are going to release a lot of the crime scene photos themselves as exhibits. And I agree, they were straight lying about what happened at court, but a lot of people don't want to call them out on it because they have a lot of followers. I don't like having a huge following. It's too much pressure. I don't mind telling you what's bullshit. I don't think Turbo does either. So I think this is very important. So with that said, we will continue.
Her injuries were carotid arteries and the jugular vein was compromised. There was lots of blood loss. Injuries to the neck and raising her hands was a natural reaction. Libby was mobile and the blood was flowing down her neck. Libby's arms and hands had voluminous amounts of blood. Abby did not have blood on her hands or sweatshirt. The trial asked if Abby was redressed after receiving the injuries. Cicero responded no. Cicero testified that Abby had clothing on at the time of her injuries: a gray sports bra, a black bra, a hoodie, and a tank top. There was heavy saturation to the clothing. She was wearing clothes at the time of her murder. There would have been a lot of blood transferred to her clothing as she was being dressed, and there wasn't any. Cicero was asked if smaller sticks would assist in concealing the bodies, and Cicero responded yes, especially the large tree limb. Auger objected to this line of questioning from Luttrell and indicated that what someone may or may not have seen across the creek is not Cicero's area of expertise in blood. And Cicero was never at the crime scene location in February 2017. Auger indicated that Dr. Kaur can testify to this, and she thinks it would be complete speculation. Luttrell countered with the fact that it was not speculation at all. Cicero had observed dozens and dozens of photographs. He could see from the pictures and could see an advantage to using sticks to conceal since he had visited the crime scene. Please note, during this line of questioning, Allen was shaking his head no. Cicero indicated that he could clearly see across the river and see a path when he went there. He said yes, he believed the light-colored skin could be camouflaged across the creek with the sticks. Luttrell asked Cicero to describe the results of Cicero's experiments with measurements and blood on the tree. Cicero had law enforcement draw his blood and put in numerous vacuum containers to conduct experiments. Primarily, he typically uses animal blood to do these experiments, but due to time constraints, he used his own. Auger wanted to know if Cicero added coagulants to his blood samples, and he replied that he did not. Auger then asked about medications that Cicero was taking that would affect coagulation, and Cicero indicated that he took various medications, including hypertension medications, and they don't affect his coagulation. Cicero testified that blood has certain viscosity that appeals to physical laws and energy forces. Luttrell wanted to know if, in his opinion, Cicero thought that the blood pattern was painted or transferred onto the tree. The best explanation is that it was a transfer stain. It was not painted, Cicero testified. A handprint from a test subject was the most comparative. Cicero tried painting with fingers and also a stick. He didn't know if painting was a possibility, but he did concur that it was possible, yet it would have been very difficult. The person would have had to reapply several times to get the same volume that was on the tree and go back to the source to do so. The upside-down L was most likely made by the palm of Libby's left hand. There was fingerprint roundness. It should be noted that 1 to 1.5 inches to the right of the upside-down L, there was another transfer stain. When crystal violet was applied to the stain, we used the digits portion of the thumb, and that made a most accurate duplication of that stain. The edge of her thumb is most likely, not straight on. This stain is consistent with Libby's left hand and her thumb hitting that portion of the tree. Auger, objection. Luttrell, the DNA report, Your Honor. Auger, the DNA report doesn't have Libby. Judge Gall, overruled. I understand. Luttrell, Liberty's blood came into contact with that tree. Would that explain all of the blood that you saw? Cicero responded that there was sensation cast off an inch away. He would expect to see directionality prior to contact. Spatter out there in force. The craters were rough on that tree. Auger, we know somehow there is a pool. Cicero, there were 3 small pools and 1 very large one. Libby herself had 3 cuts. Auger, their hand would likely or possibly be covered in blood. The killer. Cicero, depends what the assailant's actions are. Auger, his hand? Cicero, I made a mistake. A hand. Auger, someone had blood on their hand. It was transferred to a tree. Say, as an example, Brad Holder. Did you do any other analysis on any other hand? Libby was 5'4". Your subject. Did they have a similar size to Libby's hand? Say, a similar hand size to Brad Holder? Cicero, I have no idea who that is. OJ, I can dip my hand in blood and drip it on the tree, correct? Cicero, yes. OJ, Libby was later moved? Cicero, yes. OJ, someone else moved her? Cicero responded, yes. OJ, she didn't move herself. Cicero replied, no. OJ, is it more difficult to move alive or dead, or if they are fighting? Cicero, the distance of the large pooling area was 70 feet away, maybe? That is how far Libby was moved. You can actually look in the photographs. Her head and neck would have been in the vicinity of the large pooling. Her buttocks and leg dragged through the large pool. There was staining on the leaves and on the back of her leg. Blood ran down her eye, across her face and chin. Her head was turned to the left. That would not be consistent with the blood on her face. However, she was picked up because of gravity. A person that was limp would allow these patterns to occur. OJ, can you identify the flow pattern alterations on her body, not her face? Her head was positioned different? Cicero, blood would not flow up her chin and over her face. Her right cheek primarily had blood. Blood does not defy gravity. It ran on her chin. Luttrell enters under seal. Cicero, the left side of Abigail Williams' neck, the blood was mostly on the hoodie. The flow patterns on Abby were not consistent with her final position. There's no conclusion to be made about Abby was completely nude on or about February 13th, 2017. OJ, she reads from a report. She could have had her gray and black bra on, her pink top on at the time. At some point, she was partially nude? Cicero, yes. Luttrell enters exhibit number 37, which is an aerial view with investigators and they're on a ladder. What percentage of Libby's body are covered by sticks? Cicero, maybe 3%? Please note, 3 or 30%? This number was unclear to me when I was taking my notes, but I do believe that Cicero stated 3%. Luttrell. And Abby? Cicero. Similar. OJ. There were lots of leaves and sticks around to cover a body. There was a lot of chaos, right? It's impossible to recreate what happened given the data? Cicero, yes. OJ, have you ever seen sticks on bodies before? Cicero, once. There was a grid or a pattern putting objects to cover the person. They built a bridge for other sticks using sticks and leaves without fully covering up the body. Luttrell, nothing further. OJ, have you seen bodies that were buried? Cicero, yes. I bury them and I dig them up at the university in Tennessee. It was 8:20 p.m. on day 3, and this was the end of Major Cicero's testimony.
And I have one more turbo video to show you also. Hold on one second. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. If you have to go pee or you have to take a dump ski, if you need to do a Betsy Blair, if you got to go take a piss ski or something in the middle of this important presentation. Yes, I know, honey, the world is unfair. Then I'm gonna give you that moment. Now, for those of you OGs who are here, who have been here since the beginning, you're about to really fucking hate me. But the rest of you, you're going to go, what is this? And you're going to be very intrigued. This is our intermission. When we come back, I will show you the Pat Cicero documentation. And we are going to look at the Google history and one more short video from Turbo. But unfortunately, I have to do this.
你好 ，Jack。我改变主意了。我到这里来找。
把手给我。闭上眼睛。快闭上！上来，抓住栏杆，闭上眼睛，别偷看。
我没偷看。
跨到栏杆上，抓住了，抓紧点，眼睛闭好了吗？相信我吧。
我相信你。
好了，睁开眼睛。
我飞了，这个。
来，伸出手，我拉你回来。
How you do it like that? Damn, you got Titties on your back. Slamming on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Oh shit, big boy get loose. Oh shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never, oh shit, he's falling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you doing like that? Oh shit, you just like a fat. Oh shit, pick up your back. Oh, I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Get the big ass off.
It's time to remove my chihuahua's demon. This time is going to work.
De todos los que no me quieren, tiquis, tracas, troquis. Juan Calamera, azúcar. Juan Calamera, azúcar. Janta manjana, mangalangalingilongo. Tiki, tiki, tracatú. A la víbora de la mar, por aquí pueden pasar. Los de adelante corren mucho y los de atrás se quedarán.
Hoy, mi amor, hasta el perro no te quiere.
Ya está hecho el hechizo. Ahora sí. ¡Újule! Listo.
Ahorita va a volar.
El perro se asustó. Para que vean. Ya está, mija, el hechizo hecho para todos los que no me quieren.
Day 6, October 24th, 2024, 10 a.m. Prosecutor Nick McClelland, please use your best voice. Doolin. I'm Dan Doolin, a conservation officer with the Department of Natural Resources. This is my 26th year. I'm a captain. I've had special training and schooling. I co-learned about natural resource laws at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, criminal law, and law enforcement officer in Indiana field training. McClelland. Your primary duties are to reinforce DNR laws? Doolin. Yes, DNR, hunting and fishing. I have the authority to enforce any laws anywhere in Indiana. My first 15 years were in county and 10 years in Carroll County. In February 2017, at that time, I was a lieutenant at the Lafayette office. On February 16, 2017, my role was to assist the investigation. It was my first day back to work. I went to the command center. I had been out of town, but came back to work February 16th. McClelland. When did you first start following up on the tip leads? Doolin. February 18th, 2017. I first started following up on leads. There were briefings in the AM. Lead sheets were printed out and given to the law enforcement officers, and we were tasked with finding out where they were. McClelland. When you got a lead sheet, what info was in a lead? The lead sheet, the name, the way to contact, a phone number or address, a basic sentence or two as to why the tip lead needed following up. McClelland. How many per day? Doolin. It varied. It wasn't every day that I would do tip leads. Investigators would ask me to track things down. Depending on how complex the lead was, I would check it, get the story, and turn it back. There were two kinds of lead sheets. Complex leads, I would check the lead, get the story, and turn it back. I would also follow through on other leads. McClelland. McClelland presents Doolin with exhibit number 229. The original lead sheet containing the person who is reporting a brief narrative needs to be contacted, the lead number. Is this the lead sheet that you followed up on for Richard Allen? Doolin. Yes. McClelland. I would like to publish exhibit number 229 to the jury. Captain Doolin, hold up the lead sheet and explain it, please. Doolin. It simply explains who received the lead, the source. It has Richard Allen Whiteman and the narrative section. The bottom has the identifying number, the status of the lead, a general description of what I'm supposed to do, make contact with the person. McClelland. What did you do? Doolin. I contacted him by phone. McClelland. Did you speak with him? Doolin. Our first preference is to visit his house. The second preference is to have him come into law enforcement facilities. I requested to come to his house and then to the station, and he denied both. He wanted to meet me at a grocery store parking lot. McClelland, on the tip lead sheet, did it say, quote, Richard Allen Whiteman? Did you address him as Richard Allen Whiteman? Doolin, I don't recall. McClelland, when did you find out? Doolin, when I met him at the grocery store parking lot, and I went through the lead that he had reported that he was on the trail between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. He adjusted the times to me by half an hour. McClelland, had he seen anyone else? Doolin, he saw 3 girls at the Freedom Bridge at the beginning of his hike, but didn't see. Inaudible. Regarding the Farm Bureau building parking lot, we had a conversation about where he parked. He said he parked on the east side of the Hoosier Heartland Highway, commonly known as the old DCS office. He said he walked toward the High Bridge, and he was looking at his stock ticker. I'm taking notes on the back of the lead sheet. It was a brief encounter, no longer than 10 minutes, no audio recording and no video recording. McClelland, why not? Doolin, I record if the tip lead turns into a full investigation. Then I record. McClelland, did you take notes? Doolin, yes. I gained additional information on his phone. He had it with him that day. McClelland, you gathered the MEID and the MEID hex numbers? Doolin, yes. After the interview was concluded, I did my notes. I put the notes into a Word document. The Word document summary turns into an investigative summary that includes his driver's license and DMV pic. Then I submit the packet. McClelland. McClelland presents Doolin number 230. Doolin, this is my Word document taken by my handwritten notes. McClelland, when did you create this Word document? Doolin, within the hour. I sat in the parking lot at the city building the same day as the interview. McClelland. Doolin, within the hour. I sat in the parking lot at the city building the same day as the interview. McClelland. McClelland presents exhibit number 231. The driver's license and DMV photo scan for Allen and the summary of Allen from Doolin. Rosie. No objection, but please redact his social security number. Note, I could see the driver's license photo of Allen that is similar or the same as a photo that has been published in the news. Allen had a tiny amount of hair buzz cut, a blue background, and he was not smiling. McClelland, he told you he ran into 3 girls as he was headed toward the High Bridge? Doolin, yes. McClelland, did he tell you which direction? Doolin, I don't recall. McClelland, what did you do next? Doolin, I returned to the command center and submitted the lead sheet. I did not follow up on this lead. McClelland. McClelland enters exhibit number 232. Do you recognize this? Doolin. The top half is the lead sheet. The bottom half is additional information from exhibit number 229. Someone has taken my tip narrative report from my Word document and retyped it into Orion. McClelland. Does the wording represent what you submitted? Doolin. Yes. 10:30 a.m. McClelland. Fast forward to September 2022. Doolin. I received a call from Steve Mullen, and he asked if I recalled any interactions with Richard Allen. The name didn't sound familiar. In my office, I have binders where conservation officers conducted interviews. I used the search bar at the bottom left of my computer and brought up Richard Allen. Then I went and found the binder. McClelland. After reviewing, did it refresh? Doolin. I contacted the investigator in Delphi, told him what I remembered, and said, here are the documents in my file. They were obviously looking at Richard Allen. I used my resources from my point of sale system, which included the outdoor licensing system. If you purchase a fishing, turkey, or hunting license, it has your name, address, height, and weight. Every license that you ever bought is in the database. I was able to locate his phone number and email address. Something stuck out, though. He had bought a fishing license, him and his wife, throughout the years, Richard and Kathy Allen. The initial screen was from a historical standpoint. The IP address, change in email, and secondary search showed any changes that he made to his physical profile. On April 1st, 2017, Richard Allen changed his height from 5'4" to 5'6" and decreased his weight. He had made 2 changes. McClelland, is it fair to say that people change their height and weight? Doolin, yes, the increased weight as we get older. This was odd. Typically, we get a little shorter as we age. This was in the back of my mind. McClelland, describe what he's wearing. Doolin, a long-sleeved blue shirt. Note, I observed Richard Allen talking while Doolin is describing him on the witness stand. Cross-examination. Rosie, he actually did call to speak to an officer. The tip indicated he called. In other words, no email. Doolin, I have no idea how he contacted law enforcement. Rosie, during his first call, he left his phone number? Doolin, yes. Rosie, was it the correct number? Doolin, yes. Rosie, shortly after you contacted him, within minutes to an hour, he showed up at the store? Doolin, yes. Note, once again, I observe Richard Allen's talking in the well of the court, with his hand on his face, shaking his head no very strongly. Rosie, was it just northwest of town? There are only 2 grocery stores in town, the Wallmans and the Save-A-Lot, near the Pizza Hut and Dairy Queen. Inaudible. Doolin, he didn't. The tip lead sheet says that he self-reported he was there between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. He told me that he was there between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Note, Richard Allen is nodding his head yes to this line of questioning with his pen in his mouth. Rosie, that was your interpretation of the lead sheet? Doolin, yes. My report, exhibit number 230, between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m., based on what he told me himself. Rosie, on the 18th you met him. Nothing stuck out as unusual? He wasn't armed? You don't recall what he was wearing? Doolin, no. Rosie, your notes would be the most accurate? McClelland, objection. Doolin, Investigator Mullen called me, and as soon as I read my notes, I remembered about the stock ticker, that he said he was on his phone on his stock ticker. It's hard to hear this part of Doolin's testimony. It's 10:47 a.m. Rosie, may I approach? Page 29 of your deposition. On that day, I asked you if you had any independent recollection of him. You didn't know Richard Allen. Doolin, no. Rosie, you had the wrong name on your report of Richard Allen Whiteman? Doolin, I was provided the name when I was provided the lead sheet. The lead sheet said, quote, Richard Allen Whiteman, and I corrected it. I stated in my narrative. I don't know if there was some alias. McClelland, objection, ask and answer. Rosie, he asked me a question. Rosie raises his voice. He testified earlier that he thought Allen was changing his height and weight. There were serial numbers. There were lots of numbers. Doolin, yes. Rosie, there's a reference for a possible follow-up on your report. Doolin, yes. Rosie, you didn't ask him what he was wearing, driving. You weren't really sure if he used those words about the name of the building where he parked. Doolin, I'm 100% confident that he said he parked slightly north of the Freedom Bridge on the east side of the Hoosier Heartland Highway. If I put the Farm Bureau building, that was an error on my part. In 2017, he changed the weight and height on his fishing license. Note, Allen is watching and gazing intently at the jury. Rosie, you don't know who input that info to buy the license or who purchased? Doolin, you need a username and password to get into the system. Note, Kathy Allen is writing notes during Doolin's testimony in a tiny little palm-sized notepad. One of a handful of times I saw her taking notes. She didn't do it often during the course of the trial. Rosie, he changed it from 5'4" to 5'6", you noticed? In the historic records since 2005, for 12 years, there were many other references to 5'6"? Doolin, yes. Rosie, it was at least consistent with other changes. Doolin, yes. Rosie, in March 2024, when I talked to you, you didn't think he was being deceptive. Doolin, that's correct. Rosie, you had many tasks, interviews with people, lists of cell phone towers? Doolin, yes. Rosie, sheer raw data, people passing through on the Hoosier Heartland Highway. Lots of people there that day, canvas of the crime scene. McClelland, objection outside of the scope. Doolin, I went out to the crime scene numerous times, several times I went.
Guys, we do have some notes.
Out there.
I just want to point out we do have some notes.
Rosie, 3 days after the girls, you found items, sticks, branches? Doolin, yes. Rosie, several times the crime scene techs had been back. People had access to the crime scene? Doolin, yes. Rosie, no security? Doolin, yes. Rosie, nothing controlling the traffic flow in and out of the crime scene? Rosie.
I just want to be clear. They're talking about after the initial run through of the crime scene. So when they first responded, okay, they took all the pictures, they collected everything, they got everything they needed, and they dipped. Then there was 2 to 3 days later, they went back to get the sticks. All right. So they're not saying that they didn't pull from the crime scene or take pictures till days later. They took pictures. All the exhibits that we have yet to get, and I don't know that we'll get them all. Literally, especially like the ones of the girls themselves, we don't need that. I don't think we should have that. They're juveniles, and that's fucked up. But from the ones that are available or should be available, everything that's on the list, like I told you, there's a lot of exhibits. They're from the day of when they found the girls. Now, instead of cordoning off the crime scene for a whole week, which is what I probably would have done, the way they did Idaho, they got in and got the fuck out, and then they came back 2 days later for the sticks. I think that was a horrible choice on the prosecution's part. However, if you watch Duty Ed, you know that they can do the 3D imaging of the crime scene, the image map. So I'm curious to see if they did that. I know that they did the geofencing warrant and a lot of other things that are more up to date. And no, he was never 5'6". And I think they do get to that part if I didn't miss it, because again, my Hugin was screaming at me. But he just notes that it's odd, essentially, which I found odd too. And like he says, I'm not sure if he said it yet, but it's typically, you shrink when you get older as opposed to grow more. So I found that interesting. I find it interesting that Richard changed his height. Now, he had done it before in the past, but see how far back they went. They went like 20 years back. It's odd to have it at 5'4" for a while. I believe it was over a year or two. I'd like to see the specifics on that again. I need to go through my notes. But to have it for 5'4" during your last license and the one before that, and then to wait until, what was it, March 8, 2 months after, to then change it. And after his interview with this guy, with Dan, Big Dan, the wooded man. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. After that, to then change it back to like from 5'4" to 5, it's just different. It's an odd behavior, and he just noted that. Does the entire case hinge on that? No. But part of a circumstantial case is stacking the information. Now, we've seen a lot of people talking about why Richard's innocent. I don't see a lot of people talking about why they found him guilty, the jury. Now, they saw a lot more than us, but it's also hard to do when you can't see the case yourself. Since Turbo was there, that's why I rely on her a lot. Also, I have to say, I've told you guys a million times to go watch her, and this is proof, if anything, that if you don't watch her on your own, I'm gonna it's non-consensual Turbo hour. Okay, I'm gonna force you to watch her because it's very good. It's very important and very good. The fishing license software changed and pulled in info from the DMV. Well, that's interesting because he's not 5'6". So lying to the DMV, and also I would like to see something to back that up, because that is not included in the documents I have. Let's continue.
You believe there would have been 12-gauge shotgun shells in the woods? McClellan, objection, ask and answer. Judge Gall, if you're going to try to impeach him properly. Rosie, 6 hours were standard back in 2017. You're familiar with Smith & Wesson? Are they popular? Doolin, yes. McClellan, Captain Doolin, I want to focus on the fishing license. Rosie, objection. McClellan, I'll rephrase. Who purchased the licenses? You can see the IP, the credit card, the email? Doolin, yes. McClellan, If you look at your report, would that refresh your memory? Doolin, yes. McClelland, which credit card number was used to purchase those fishing licenses? Doolin, Richard Allen's credit card number ending in 2968 purchased both the Allen's licenses. The username I don't recall. Note, Kathy Allen is nodding her head in agreement during this testimony. McClelland, did he allow you to look at his texts? Doolin, no. McClelland, his pictures? Doolin, no. McClelland, his apps? Doolin, no. It was 11:17 a.m. Jury questions. Jury question number 1. Captain, the first time you interviewed him, what was his hair like? Doolin, I don't know. Jury question number 2. A question was asked about a new lead and the DMV. It was hard to hear. Doolin, I did not have access to. It was taken from my Word document. This is the end of the testimony for Captain Dan Doolin. Please note, Richard Allen and Andrew Baldwin are smiling, and Allen has his hands clasped behind his back yet again.
Okay. There you go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Turbo Time. All right. Now, we do have to wrap it up. So, let's take a look at these docs. Here's the first one I'm going to show you. I'm going to be posting them slowly on the community post wall. I will put a link to this. This one, we're not going to go through the entire thing because it's very long. But I think it's important because what we have available to us is the testimony of Major Patrick Cicero, who you heard about earlier before Dan Doolin. And this was the testimony given at the hearing on motion in limine. This was August 1st of 2024. I'm just going to show you the document. We're going to breeze through it even. We're going to breeze through it, okay? We're not going to look at the entire thing in depth, but I am going to put it up so that you can access it. There are other people online who I'm sure have put this up before, or at least this week, or they must have. But this is his testimony, and this is during the motions in limine, and they really grill him here. He talks about his background, his CV. They go over everything that ended up in the hearing itself, in the trial itself, that you just heard from Turbo. And as you can see, they go, did you actually go to the scene? I did. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting because we just heard, what'd you say in the chat, Belly? You said that he didn't. Well, that's interesting. He went to the scene. Wow. Okay. Did you physically examine items of evidence? Yes, I examined clothing. Were these the clothing that you as you can see, they go in depth. Now, again, not going to read it all. It's 40 fucking pages. We will break it down later, see how they go into the F and the upside down L. I will put this on the wall, though, so that you can check it out. Anyway, I also think let's talk about one of the most common mistakes in this case. There was no blood at the crime scene. People will tell you, they will say, hey, then where's the blood? Prove it. Look, right here. Was there a section on the ground a distance from a tree where there was a large pool of blood that was documented by photographs? Yes, the large pool or pooling accumulation of blood was more to the south of the tree, and I believe maybe a few feet to the west of AW's foot. This is important. And there's pictures of it. Wow. Haven't heard that from a lot of people. Haven't heard that. This document, yes, it's motions in limine. Does that mean they can lie? No, it doesn't. Still under oath. Very important. Just like the band. Under oath. So, I'm going to make this document available. Again, you might have seen it already. If you didn't, ignore this. It is 40 pages of who's this guy, what's he about, why the fuck is he here, what's he got to say, what happened, what did he see, he's testifying to it, okay. It goes on. And look, you were right, Jennifer, crazy Julie, craziest person on earth. Oh, Major Cicero, the experiment you conducted, I believe you drew some of your own blood. Yes. I mean, my God, Hello, Cindy. Nice to see you. How are you doing today? Everything's fine, dude. Everything's fine. We're going to be okay. Yes, we had a law enforcement phlebotomist, fun word, spelled with a P, draw my blood. So we used my blood for the experiment. And you put it in some containers. We had numerous vacutainers that they were put into. Now, do you guys remember when we did the whole thing where we talked about dryers and how it would have been nice if they would have taken John O'Keefe's clothing and put it in a forensic dryer, and how there's like mats under it and they put the lovely brown paper that's fun to tear? There are also things called vacutainers, vacuum seal containers. Fantastic for crime scenes. They use those. Okay, they had gloves. That's fun. We love gloves. They took tons of pictures up close so that you could see the pools of blood. During the trial, Turbo noted this, so did 2 other people, one of them which thinks he's innocent. Same exact notes, though. Agreed, there was blood at the crime scene. Now, you will see, for some reason, people who are free Rick Allen who agree with that. There was blood at the crime scene. And then you will see others who are like, there was no blood at the crime scene. Those are the ones you probably want to just do it. Pie face them. All right? That's insane. That's as crazy as saying Kelsey did it. That's fucking crazy. Like, you're out of your fucking mind and you need a reality check and some mental health help, some care. With that said, if they're showing pictures of the blood to the jury at the crime scene, tragic, horrible, but they have them. They're up close. You can look at them. There was blood at the crime scene, just to be clear. In addition to that, you've got this fool testifying in the motions in limine hearing, and then again at the trial to pretty much the same shit, but we will see it. We will see it. We're getting there. We are in the pre-trial right now. We're going to go through and we're going to look at everything that you might not have seen. I made a list of things that people have skipped or that I haven't seen until I saw the docs. Then I went, why are people talking about this? We're going through that list. It starts at the beginning. We go in order here. We try. So that's what we're doing. This document, I'm going to put a link to it on the community wall so you can go through and read it all. It has a lot of interesting things in it. I love when they get to the CVs. I love it because it makes people who hate on Dr. Walla, who I think is pretty cool aside from her taste in gray hues, she's a pretty good doctor. There's nothing to say she's evil. People want to paint her as evil and bad. She's very nosy. She's a nosy ass SnoopyDupa. But one thing she did is she advocated for Richard. She did express, which might have been considered unprofessional, but it's not bad and it's in the favor of Rick, that she, hopes he gets better. That she hopes and prays that he makes it, I believe. It was positive. It was like, I hope that he's okay. It was positive things towards him. Like, she feels bad, essentially, for the situation. She's looking at it from a doctor perspective. I believe she also advocated to get him a window, an extra window, so that he could get some sunlight. Okay, and then got him extra calls with Kathy. Did a lot for that guy to help him. So it's kind of weird to me that people like to put out there that she was trying to somehow frame him or hurt him. Very silly. Very silly. But I like when they get to her CV because she actually has a pretty cool background, an extensive one too. Yeah, they did find an unspent bullet at the crime scene. It had groove markings from being ejected. We'll get there too. That's very interesting. The ballistics are fascinating. I would like my dad to go over some of them first. He's only looked at a few. Okay, so a person trying to paint that blood on a tree would have to keep going back to the source of the blood. Yes, some source. So he's talking about, how did this happen if it were painted? Now, they go over what painting is and how it's difficult to do. It's very, very interesting. Again, 40 pages. We're going to put it all up there so you can check this out. This motions and limine is where I want you to start, and then eventually we will get further. Okay, now moving on. Here is the main thing that I want to show you, and then we're going to wrap it up. This is Rick Allen's Google account. Let me put this here. Okay, now I'm going to make this nice and big Okay, and I'm going to take myself out. We're going to end on this, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to keep doing this until we're done. And we're going to take breaks in between to do other case stuff. But trust me, we're going to go through all of it because I sat through a lot of bullshit. A lot of shit about symbols and Odin and sticks, and I'm over it. I'm so angry. The Erica shit, it makes me infuriated. How did she make it there? How'd she make it all the way to Delphi? This is ridiculous. So with that said, we're going to go through everything in this case as long as it takes us. And when we get the rest of the court documents, I'm going to be very excited. Very, very excited. And we're going to go over what we can. And we're not going to look at anything that is pictures of the girls, so don't expect that on this channel. That's fucked up. Okay? So, Rick Allen had quite a few email accounts. I know that there's only, I think, 2 or 3 listed in the docs, and then he mentions a Yahoo account. I found one, an Insight BB account that is him. I mean, the password matches. He's been breached. So, with that said, and I'm not going to go into detail on that either because we don't need to be fucking with his shit. All right. I reviewed the Google return for FooJack0 at gmail.com. Now, he mentions this, and I believe it's his first interview. It gives you the Google ID, the name, Rick Allen, the email, the date it was created, all this stuff, okay? So, term of service, IP, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's keep going. Birthday, phone numbers. All right. So, we're going to start, let me see, because we're going to go, it is very, oops, had a problem loading it. Hold on. Let me take this down real quick. I think I need to reload it. Let me reload it. Hold on one second. How are you guys doing today? Yeah, we're not going to do pics. We don't need to do pics of that shit. It's very sad. And people forget they're fucking juveniles. Like, this is... I'm not talking like the rapper. I'm talking... They're juvenile kids. And we are going to look over the geofence data, too. Here we go. Yeah, he's probably still eating his own shit. And that's another thing is everybody's like, he didn't get his mail. They were depriving him of mail and his human rights. And it's like, dude, he was eating that. He was doing a Mac from It's Always Sunny. He was eating the paper. Shit I used to do to protest in middle school. He's doing in jail. It's fucking wild. Okay, here we go. I got it going again. Let's hope it doesn't, or not. Oh, yeah, he Googled a lot of wild stuff. All right, let's go. Okay, we're going to start at, all right, down here. So, actually, okay, so there's a lot to be returned, but we're going to go with justice searches for today. And then, because there's 25 pages, we're not going to do it all. Say hello to Fraser, everyone. Okay. One thing I want to point out that I think is very important, all right, I do, is that there have been statements made that, oh, he didn't, it's not that he never said, like, I don't care about the girl. He said at one point during one of the interrogations, I'd like to get the exact words. So if someone remembers it, please tell me, but I have it in my notes. He basically makes it clear that, you know, he heard about the girls. He didn't know the girls at all, and that he'd seen the case, but that he wasn't that super invested into it, right? He gave the impression, if you will, that this is not something that he thinks of because he didn't fucking do it. I thought that was really interesting. You're about to see his Google search history. Okay? This, I think, again, very telling. Now, if you look at my Google search history, you're going to see a lot of weird shit. Okay? And let's be fair to him. He did say, I don't want you to see everything in my Google search history, you know? And then he mentioned me and my wife watch a lot of Dateline, watch a lot of stuff like that. So he made it clear he watches some Dateline, some Prime stuff. Fair enough. Take that into account. Take into account what you watch. But also, you know, in the context of he was there at the bridge that day, right? given everything that he has said in his interviews, his interrogations, if you want to be a dick about it, they did scream at him a lot, which was kind of fucked up on one point. But also, these guys are mad. They've seen some fucked up shit, and he is bullshitting them. So, with that said, let's look at some of these, okay? And I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. All right, here we go. So, May 27th, 2020, this is 3 years after the crime. He visited Delphi murders, $1.2 million to restore Monon High Bridge Trail. Then he visited the Pharaoh's Tribune. Changes coming to the Monon High Bridge Trail. And he did go there a lot. Fair enough. Not that weird. Then Epitome Evil Delphi Double Murder Mystery Story. Okay, he visited that. Then in April, search for Carroll County Courthouse. Then he searched for the clerk's office in 2021. Then he searched for shooting ranges. He shoots guns, fair enough. Then Wildcat Valley Rifle and Pistol Club, shooting ranges near me. Applied Ballistics Lafayette's premier shooting range. Now, some people thought that was weird. That is the name of a shooting range. Now, what I find weird is that during his interviews, he makes it a point to say he hasn't gone shooting in years. He hasn't shot that gun in a long time. He hardly ever gets to go shooting anymore. Interesting. Because there's a lot of shooting stuff. Search for range. Carroll County scanner. Interesting. He seems very aloof in the interviews. Like he doesn't really know. I don't know what's going on with that guy. I wasn't there. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. But he seems to be looking at it a lot. Search for Delphi murders. Okay. Search news Delphi murders, Indiana State Police update. Right after the ballistic searches. Comet, Carroll County. Now that is the local news. Fair enough. Search for Delphi. Search for Delphi. Delphi. Interesting. All at like late night, 1 something in the morning. Delphi, Indiana news. Okay. Fair enough. Delphi, Indiana news. Then we have some stuff blacked out. This is what I really want to see. I wonder if we'll get that unredacted. I don't know, but that seems weird. Moving on. Delphi news. Delphi, Indiana. Okay, here we go. Delphi, Indiana news. And this is all 1048, 1047. This is all the evening of April 17th. And then, should I die now? Die now? Should I die now? What is the darkest shit on Netflix? What is the most insidious thing I can watch? What is the most horrifying thing I can watch? What is the most horrifying thing I can watch? What is the most horrifying thing I can watch? What is the most disturbing movie ever? Delphi, Indiana news, City of Delphi news, Delphi murders, Delphi, Indiana news. Okay. And then news, weather, safety, sports. And then Delphi, Indiana news, Delphi murders, Delphi, Indiana news. We're going on and on. Okay. Texas elementary school shooting. Wow. That's fucked up. Texas elementary school shooting suspect. Deeply disturbing and terrifying movies on Netflix. Now, notice that is in the same, literally just, what is that? 13, 14 minutes apart from the school shooting stuff. Okay. Delphi, Indiana news. Then go on and on and on. The most fucked up thing to watch on Netflix right now. He searches that again. Okay. Then Delphi. Lots of question marks here. Delphi murders update. Then more Delphi, Indiana news, Delphi football. Okay. Varsity football. He must have been really into football. Carroll County scanner again on September 6th. Now, I was looking at some of these dates where he's looking at the scanner and he's checking the news a lot. And I noticed that some of them coincide with dates we hear things about, stuff like Keegan Klein, the search of the river, It's just very interesting timing. A couple of other things, but we'll go through that with a fine-tooth comb. Trust me. Okay. Carroll County scanner, broadcastify. This is the specific feed for the Carroll County Delphi scanner. Kokomo, I think, too. Killing of a sacred deer, stalker, 2012. Man held hostage by teen. Search for a movie about a man being held against his will. 65 best kidnapping and hostage movies ever made. Delphi murders, Delphi, Indiana. And that is up to the date of his interviews. Hard Candy is a great movie. With that said, I think it's very interesting to look at, again, the timing of specific searches. And also, I find it odd that you would search for like the most disturbing thing ever, and then a minute or two later, something else, and then all of a sudden, school shooting. Like, you can kind of see him spiraling a little. Now, I ask you again, have you seen anybody bring this shit up? Seems pretty damning. I would love to hear an explanation beyond, well, my Google searches are fucked up. No, I get that. But also, he had an unspent round at the crime scene and put himself at the crime scene of where this specifically happened. And he matched the bridge guy. I'm also going to be posting a comparison of the voices because I noticed in the interrogation, he actually says the words down the hill. So let's just audio compare them again, shall we? I already have a video up of it, but it had an old one of him and his wife. So it's like, okay, let's compare it when he says it casually in conversation. I did notice in that interview / interrogation, when he says down the hill, his eyes kind of get a little bit big, and then he stops and he takes a drink of water. Also notice that whenever he tells a lie, he takes a drink of water. He also takes other drinks of water, but he's very chugging almost after he adjusts his timeline. After he explains that he saw 3 girls, 2 that looked a little younger and 1 that looked older. When he's talking about the parking, he starts to chug. This is another time he's changing a story. I just think it's a bit weird. I think that he has some unnatural tells. Also think it's odd that by the end of the interview, in both of them, you just see a stack of water bottles. Yet he's remaining kind of calm. But he's a guy who told you up front that he has a ton of anxiety. He's riddled with it. He also got drunk that morning. I think the most important thing, though, that I don't see a lot of people bring up, but they'll bring up the Odinist shit all day, is also one of the most concerning. It's when Kathy comes in and they're talking and he says, you know I wasn't there. You know I wasn't there. She hasn't said a fucking word. She's just squeaking and kind of doing like a thing with her head. Like you can tell she's having a psychotic moment. She's like, fuck. She looks more upset than he does. And with good reason, right? He's very cool, calm, and collected, in my opinion, at that point. But what's odd is when he says, like, you know that, I told you that, you don't believe them, you don't believe them. He's not asking her, he's telling her. He's like, you know I didn't do this. And then he says, and I already told them I was out there on the bridge. And he said, I told you that. And she goes, you didn't tell me that. You never said that. Like, what? And he's like, yes, I did. Well, you know what? It's not your fault. She didn't think it was her fault, bud. It was very gaslighty. It was very fucked up. She straight up says to him in that interview room on camera, she did not know that he was out there on the bridge at that time when those girls were there. And he says, yeah, you did. I told you that. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. What? She didn't say she did anything wrong. That's the moment when it's like, oh, that's why he's so calm. Because this is a guy who has anxiety problems. He flips out and eats his own shit. Oddly, that really happens pretty much after he talks to his lawyers and Kathy. And there are quite a few reasonable explanations why that is. Very odd. Also that he confessed to them chaplain, everybody but the investigators. Anyway, that's what we're going to look at today. I'll put both of those links to both of those documents up for you. There's also a lot of repositories and collectives that have gotten a bulk amount of stuff like this that you can certainly download and look at for free. I'll get some of them together, make you a little list so you can go there too. So you don't have to wait on my ass if you want to pre-read anything. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to stop today. I think it's interesting, and I'm kind of mad that I've only seen Turbo highlight this shit. Like, there should have been way more people bringing this stuff up, especially with the amount of time some of the documents have been out. Some of them are on their way. There's bits and pieces that people are getting expedited. But until we have it all, we're going to trudge through what we can. And again, if you've already heard it, we're not going to go over it. We're going to go over the stuff that I don't see a lot of people talking about. And we'll get there. Might take time. And hopefully Mike will come on tomorrow and tell us more about Erica, because she's a fascinating beast. And I want to hear who the fuck she thinks she is. But anyway, thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Again, go follow Turbo. Let me put her link up. I appreciate you all. And I think what we'll do, if he can't come on tomorrow night, then we're just going to do like a totally different episode that has nothing to do with Delphi, a little palate cleanser. And then we'll come back to this, okay? But I will be making posts on the community wall of all of this. And you know what I think you guys deserve? I think we'll end on this. I think we're going to end on something that I know you all love. Okay? And I promise it's not going to be the Titanic. All right? It's just going to be a little bit of this.
Get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't lay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Never seen a big boy drill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy ain't drilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tools on your back. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never heard shit when you going on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hump the roof. How you do it like that? Shit, you just like a back. Shit, pick up your back. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Take a big ass out.